Just so you guys know. You mean to get it quiet in here? You mean to get it quiet in here? Good evening, everyone. You mean to get it quiet in here? I just need a little bit quieter in here because we might be getting some feedback on the. Good evening, everyone. You mean to get it quiet in here? I just need a little bit quieter in here because we might be getting some feedback on the. Good evening, everyone. You mean to get it quiet in here? I just need a little bit quieter in here because we might be getting some feedback on the. Good evening, everyone. You mean to get it quiet in here? I just need a little bit quieter in here because we might be getting some feedback on the. Good evening, everyone. You mean to get it quiet in here? I just need a little bit quieter in here because we might be getting some feedback. Good evening, everyone. You mean to get it quiet in here? I need a little bit quieter in here because we. Yeah. Good evening, everyone.
Can you stop the stream?
Good thing I said something profound, right?
Stop the stream.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Can you stop the stream?
Just give us a few minutes, please. That's good.
I'm gonna unmute this just for a second, and can you just talk to see if we're
Yes.
feedback? I'm still waiting for the baby.
Check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3.
Back that up. I think yes. Make sure we are.
That's the video.
I didn't start this yet, so.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for-
You're on
Good,
it. Perfect.
Can you check through the- And I'm waiting for the supervisor. He's started off, he said, I guess, from this text, he said, start and I'll pop in.
Understood.
Okay,
I'll just wait for you then, or you?
so if it's okay, you can proceed, and when Mr. Baby pops in. I
Sure.
will send it back.
Yep. Okay, everyone, I have 6:33. Let's call this meeting to order. Join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great job, team.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to remind everyone there is a recording device up front at the dais for the purposes of taking minutes. We're also streaming live and it'll be recorded as a YouTube on our YouTube channel as well. Prior to this meeting, we had an executive session where we talked about real estate, personnel, and legal matters. And now we'll move into the approval of minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I motion to approve the preliminary budget meeting minutes from November 10th, 2025.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made by Supervisor Derhinessian and seconded by Supervisor Iacono. All those in favor? Motion carries.
I'd like to make another motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting on November 18th, 2025.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made by Supervisor Derhinessian and seconded by Supervisor Iacono. All those in favor? Motion carries. Supervisor D'Agostino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm glad everybody showed up for the BYC proclamation. There's nothing else going on tonight, but I'm glad you're all here. So a lot going on tonight. Just want to take a minute to congratulate the team. What we sort of watched is a 3-minute video of the championship game. So this is BYC versus Chester Township. And it was as you'll see, a very exciting game. Ed, you're probably a good game for you to watch. But I'd also like to thank Brad Berner. He's the one who produced this. He shot the video, produced it. It's great. So let's take a minute and let it roll.
I'm ready. Come on.
Feel it coming in the air, hear the screams from everywhere. I'm addicted to the thrill. It's a dangerous love affair. Can't be scared when it goes down. Got a problem? Tell me now. Only thing that's on my mind is who gonna run this town tonight.
enjoy it. Guys, this is a legacy for the rest of your life, right?
Well, it was as exciting being in person watching it. It was back and forth to the end. 22-16. So I just can't say enough about these boys and the coaches. They dedicated so much time and effort. Hard work does pay off, and very proud of them. So with that, I'd like to read a proclamation to honor them. Bethel Township, Delaware County, PA, Proclamation 2025-06. Whereas the Brandywine Youth Club 9U varsity team has demonstrated exceptional skill, dedication, and teamwork throughout the 2025 season. Whereas this outstanding group of young athletes achieved the remarkable accomplishment of winning the 2025 Independent Youth Football League Championship, bringing pride and honor to Bethel Township and the entire Garnet Valley community. Whereas the BYC football program is guided by a mission to help young athletes develop the necessary skills to be successful in life. Oh, is that Santa? These principles include integrity, toughness, selflessness, hard work, accountability, respect, and discipline. Whereas the program's ultimate goal is to build not only skilled football players, but also great young people who contribute positively to their community. Whereas the BYC 9U varsity football team completed an undefeated regular season, remaining unscored upon, and outscoring their opponents by a combined 170-0. Pretty amazing. Whereas the following players contributed to this historic season: Larry Ambrosio, Stephen Carbone, Patrick Kubler, Gabe DiAgostino, Killian Deal, Connor Edelbute, Connor Hogan, Kai Johnson, Mason Justi, Kristen Kessler, Luke Larkin, Vinnie Martin, Mason Myers, Brandon Orr, JJ Owens, Dominic Picchiotti, Braden Ratman, and Austin Repine. Whereas this success was only made possible through the leadership and dedication of the coaching staff, head coach Morty Hoey, along with Steve Justi, James Owen, Mike Picchiotti, Vinnie Port, Anthony Lucy, Ryan Serrato, Tim Martin, Chris Repine, Dave Stevenson, Blaze Maitland, Casey Yunkins. There's a lot of coaches. And they all put in a lot of time, trust me. Ed Kidzer, Jimmy Gallagher, John Port, and Mike Mulholland. Now, therefore, the Board of Supervisors of Bethel Township does hereby recognize, commend the Brandywine Youth Club 9U varsity football team for their championship victory and for exemplifying the principles of accountability, family, heart, both on and off the field. I'd like to make a motion to approve this proclamation.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made by Supervisor DiAgostino and seconded by Supervisor Iacono. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Guys, the boys come forward. Just stay in front of the dais. They're short enough we can be behind them.
I don't know,
Do you want to slide in here?
We could stand up, I guess, and then we'll get the coaches. Coaches, you guys can go on the wings.
The cheers were mocking.
There we go.
One, two, three, a little higher up, my wife always tells me. And one portrait. 1, 2, 3. Great.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Absolutely. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Here. Boys, step up. I gotta hand you something.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, guys.
Congrats, man.
Mason, do me a
Awesome
favor.
job.
Take yours.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mason, break it down one last time.
Congratulations.
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 Hurry up. We only got a few seconds.
Break it down, Juicy. Yeah, who's got my back? I got your back. I got your back. I said, who's got my back? I got your back. Those are me, those are three. 1, 2, 3, go.
Thanks, guys. You guys are welcome to stay around. Thanks, guys. Good night.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
That's all I was there.
Thank you, Supervisor D'Agostino. Good. Mr. Bars, we're ready for the treasurer's report. Did you also prepare a video or no? All right. So-
I've done about your report. Is that light on there?
It is now. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate your introduction there, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to take a look at my November 2025 report. I'll be very brief. Township cash has continued to remain in a very strong position. We are up as of November 30th. We're up $348,820.63 over 1 year ago. Total cash, reconciled cash balances in all accounts and all funds equals $5,608,435.56. 1 year ago, we were at a cash balance of $5,259,614.93 respectively. The general fund is significantly, I would say, over budget. We were projecting a over $1 million deficit at this point. We actually are only reflecting a roughly $222,000 deficit at this time. So we've had a significant swing in the positive throughout the 11 months ended November 30th. Our revenue is $245,000 over budget, and our expenses, this is where we really made up a lot of that projected deficit, is roughly $565,000 below budget. So that's where we created that sizable positive swing for the municipality. A couple of items to note: our real estate taxes continue to remain well over budget. Thank you, Mr. Plasha. We're at roughly $44,000 over where we had budgeted, which is basically the average that we've had since July. Our transfer taxes, we've had a really nice run here. We're over $185,000 over what we had budgeted through the 11 months. We were averaging from July to September $93,000. So we had a nice spike, a couple of nice sales in there, which reflects the strong market value of the township's real estate. And just one item note, $47,000 over budget in interest income. I think that really reflects the sound management and supervisor practices of making sure that we're using our money in the best ways and keeping it in the highest yielding accounts. Just jumping into the trash fund, we are basically breaking even. We're $37,000 over where we thought we'd be, but that's actually great, right? I mean, we really want to keep our eye on this. We have a positive budget variance of just over $8,000 on the revenue side and $29,000 positive budget variance on the expense side. So we've watched our expenses there very tightly. With that, I conclude my report.
Thank you, Mr. Bars. Is there any comments from the board? Yeah, the only thing just looking at, we're obviously looking at what that deficit is going to be at the end of the year. And, we had adopted whatever is 1.189 and we're at 222 now.
Yeah,
So,
but I mean, you can expect probably another $200,000 loss on top of that for December. That's our burn,
Mhm.
without any revenue coming in. So we'll probably be in the fours.
In the force.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. And I did see, yeah, definitely the transfer tax looked like it was
Yeah.
a lot higher
Yeah,
than
Worked
anticipated.
out great. Yeah,
Yeah.
worked out good.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bars. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the treasurer report, pay all bills, and release relevant escrows.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Supervisor Derrenessian. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. On to finance. First item on the finance is the adoption of the 2026 final budget. So after our preliminary budget meeting, we took the comments from the residents, came back, worked with the supervisors in accounting, and reduced the expenses on the proposed budget. And there was a little bit of an increase projected for revenue, so that the current budget that's been circulated to the Board of Supervisors has a deficit of $1,015,000, which is maybe about $175,000 or so less expenses, less cost than the previous budget that was proposed. It's about $8,000 more than last year's approved budget. And then I guess that information is available in the packet that was put out today. But I think the big highlight of where the reductions are was in the supervisor salary column. There was a prorated approach to the police officer payroll. So projecting current pay for the current staff they have and projecting them to be fully staffed as the year progresses. Some increases in the revenue were on our estimated transfer tax because, as we can see, we're close to 400,000 for this year. I think originally we had only estimated $200,000 for the 2026 budget. And then there was additional reductions in IT and some of the smaller items to get that number down to where it's at. So I'm going to make the motion, ask for a second, then we'll have discussion, both from the board first, and then I'll get discussion from the public. That makes sense. And just as a reminder, let's try to make the comments kind of should be addressed to the board, not necessarily to the public as a whole. If somebody said the same thing that you're planning to say, then let's just be a little bit time conscious if we can. But feel free to speak your mind. So with that, I make a motion for the adoption of the 2026 final budget.
Second.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah, 1612 Wintergreen. How can you make the motion to do this before you hear comments from the public? Just a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Typically, discussion comes after a motion in a second. There won't be a
Then why
vote.
bother? I mean,
Yeah, well, because the vote could be no, the vote could be to table, the vote could be anything. You have to vote yes.
Yes.
Yeah. You want to make sure people get up to the,
Podium.
yeah.
Take their name and their address for this.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
yeah.
I have a question.
I did.
I heard a second. I took a look at the revised budget. Something here, maybe it could be the way I'm reading it, but it doesn't seem that the math is mathing here. The original budget that was adopted at the public meeting, the budget meeting, seemed to show a final line item for public works. So in terms of a subtotal, at trying to remember the line here, it looks like it was 414,361. Then in the revised budget, there was about $25,000 that was taken out of line item. That was 431.99. Looked like that it was reduced by $25,000, which is, just want to know, first of all, what the basis of that reduction was. Highway Department expense funds.
Okay. If I'm getting your question correctly, you're saying there was a reduction from 431.99 Highway Department expense funds?
Yeah, there was $25,000 in 431.99 in the original budget,
Yeah.
And in the revised budget, it looks like that number went away. I'm just trying to figure out why and what it
Yeah.
was for.
Yeah, that was, I think, an ARP carryover. I had to check on that.
Expense funds
199.
for 3199 or for 31? I'm not finding.
430.
430,
Yeah,
199.
that's ARP fund. That was an ARP fund carryover.
So it's not being carried over?
No. Because there's
I
other,
knew it.
maintenance items in the budget, capital expenditures, operating money, and then there's also liquid fuels for some of that stuff, so.
So was it, okay, so it was reallocated?
It wasn't reallocated. We didn't change any of the other line items. It was just.
No, I understand. So originally, when the preliminary budget was passed, there was an idea that we needed $25,000 in the highway department expense funds. But I guess in the revised budget, that was taken out. It's fine.
Yes.
I just want to know what the thought process was.
Yeah,
I
there
didn't
wasn't,
understand.
because we have those other line items to cover the expenditures.
But all the other numbers didn't change, so.
Right, there wasn't a projected, major improvement where I didn't think it was necessary, to keep it in multiple line items if we have it in other places.
There was also discussions about some improvements to,
That's the police station.
no, to even here, where they were talking about some room improvements, and I think that that's all been deferred,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, that's a major undertaking.
Yeah. There was, highway department had recommended some improvements to their.
Future, like break rooms and things like that, but we don't have any, there was no information provided on approximate real costs for that type of work, because would be a major improvement, structural, mechanical, plumbing. So that's kind of a future wish list item. That is something to kind of look into for future budgeting.
Okay.
Not anticipated for 26.
That
The
answers
big-
that
The
answers the
big
question.
highway expenditure next year would be the piece of equipment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other comments from the board?
I guess just to be helpful to the public, is it possible to put this up on the screen and you point out the significant changes from what was approved in the preliminary budget?
I don't know that I can necessarily show all of them because I don't know if they're highlighted.
But I thought you said there was only like 2 changes.
No, there's more than 2 changes.
Oh, you just said there was the,
There were the
reduced
primary-
payroll
You
and-
have the packet, so you know, there's a.
no,
few
I know,
things.
but
Yeah.
I would like the public to be able to see what you're talking about.
No, I don't have a problem. It's fine to get pushed up. I'm just saying, I don't know. I'll do my best to try to identify those.
I think we increased revenue for the building permits, the zoning permits, the plumbing permits, the mechanical permits. I recirculated the fee schedule to all of our consultants, and they've updated it, provided updated suggestions, which the township is reviewing for changes to the fee schedule. So we anticipate that to have a positive change to the revenue. So those were the revenue line items that I know I
Well-
took a look at.
Yeah, I mean, if it's, well, I'll stop you there just to hopefully make this clearer.
You don't have it.
Yeah.
We're just looking at the agenda.
Once you pull it up, we'll start in the revenue.
Is it not?
This is very time consuming and not moving this further along.
Well, I would agree. And I'll try
Oh,
to be
you don't
brief.
have to do it. I was just making a suggestion.
Yeah.
It's not like.
I'm just gonna try to cover maybe 5 or 6 key items.
There you go. Start it.
When you're losing $1 million, this change in the preliminary budget in this budget, I've already done it. It's under the.
Hey, Joe, you gotta get up to the podium.
We're gonna do public comment at the end. Let's get through the chairman's comments.
Yeah. Yeah. If you scroll down to 310.100. That's an item.
$3,100 right here goes.
Yeah, so that's $250,000. I believe the prior budget was less than that. I don't have the amount on hand. Maybe 220,000, I don't recall. As Supervisor Iacono indicated, if you go to the 361.000,
Page 96, Bill.
there was an effort to reconcile the permitting fees against our expenses to execute the permits and to inspect. That was in the 361s. So there was increases to, as Supervisor Iacono said, zoning hearing board fees, building permits, mechanical permits, plumbing.
There you go.
Thank you. Oh, great, thanks. Just a couple more. If we could go to the expenses, please. 400.105 is a reduction in the payroll for the Board of Supervisors and the subsequent tax associated with that. There are some general office cost reductions as well. I think it doesn't impact, then we go down to 407.0. Just tore that. The reduction in computer and IT cost, as I mentioned, down to 34,000. I think it was closer to 40,000. 46, thank you. Big item here, 410.005. Is the police department under police officers, which is 410.130. There's a reduction, I think, from 622. 572 down to 500 is the number. That's essentially, I think, some of the key ones. We can have it up if there's other items that we'll do our best to try to pinpoint, but to Mr. Thurslick's point, well, that's generally the gist. Roughly $175,000 reduction from the preliminary budget. Any other comments from the board?
Not this time.
Thank you.
Before you take public comment, I just want to mention everybody, Supervisor Davey can't hear your comments unless you're at the microphone. So please come up to the microphone for public comment.
Please.
Donna Vance, 1612 Wendy Way. The first thing I would like to know, Giovanna, last meeting, I apologize, I did not write down the $35,000 to Knoll. You said 10,000 was to who? I apologize.
No, it's all to naught,
It was all to Knoll?
but it's for different things.
And what was it for?
It was for them to review the plans and them to monitor the easement.
Okay. I have a letter here. Do you know who you spoke with at Knoll?
A group of people, never even just one.
And I have all their names, so
Steve
I'm,
Carter, Mike Deuce.
okay, this letter is from Steve Carter. And I will only read a little tiny bit of it, and it said, "Dear Miss Vance," and here I want you all to see this. So that you know that it's legit. Pardon my.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's not long. "Dear Ms. Vance, please be aware that Knoll is not under contract with Bethel Township and has not received any funds related to this matter. Recently, we have been contacted by several unfamiliar community members who have raised outlandish and inappropriate allegations, including suggestions of bribes, concerned echoes even in your own email. But as a result, I have instructed my staff to disengage from any further communications on this topic." The key words here, they have not received any money, nor are they, so is he lying to us?
No, we approved the expenditure, however, they have not started their process. So when they start their process, just like when our consultants bill us for their time to review our bills, to review our documents, then they start invoicing us. So because they haven't started their process, we haven't received any invoices.
They said they haven't started their process, which I don't have in writing, because they know nothing about the new plans. They know nothing about what you have been talking to all of us about. So I'm wondering who's not being honest. Is it Steve Carter, who is the president of NALT, or is it you? And I don't mean to be disrespectful. I just want to know an answer.
He said they have not received any funds. He did not say that they did not receive funds.
And he says he is not under contract with
Correct.
you. And he also told me he has not spoken with you.
I'm pretty sure he didn't tell you that.
Oh, yeah, he did. I'm pretty sure he did. Make sure I get that in writing the next time. The next thing is, when a little while back, there was two very, very, very important subjects that went around. The first one was this Board of Supervisors, not you, but a while back, they thought it would be a great idea to go with a full-time police force, okay? We had a part-time police force at that time. Everyone in this community was so excited to have a full-time police force. It was like wonderful. Until they came to the budget meeting to find out that this police force was going to be a unionized police force, and it was going to cause our taxes to go sky high because there's going to be a pension and there's going to be triple the wages and blah, 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 everything that goes along with it. And we're talking insurance, disability, whatever. So the people got together in this community and they got a petition with 400 names on it. And they came up and they said this to the board. The board excused themselves and went into an exec session and came back and said, you know what, we hear you, you hear your voice, we're tabling it, and let's see if we can't come down with something else. And they did. And they came back with a full-time police force with part-time officers, which we still have today. Moving forward from that, the sewer authority came up with an idea that we thought would be fabulous. We were so passionate about it because I was on the board at the time and I still am, that let's save the taxpayers' money and put their sewer bills on with their tax bill every year. It'd be once a year. And everybody loved the idea. The supervisors loved the idea. And we came to the meeting to adopt our budget. We had 10 people show up, which at a sewer meeting, that's like the entire community. We don't get anybody. So they stood up and they spoke about how it would be a burden and how that they wanted things the way they were and how it was, yeah, I can put the money aside, but maybe I'll spend it, right? So we went into exec session and came out and said, we are your voice. We listened to you and we kept the bills quarterly, and they still stand there today because that's what the people wanted. I have in my hand over 600 people who have signed this petition. I'm handing the original ones to you, Chuck. And these are the ones that have signed here and the ones that have continued to sign since we've been here. You people are our voices. You were elected to be our voices. Yes. All I'm asking I'm sorry, there's another one here, I apologize. All I'm asking is to hear us, listen to us and do the right thing. Go into exec session and say, hey, maybe we should table this because this is what the citizens of this community want. Please, that's all I'm asking. Going forward, I know that Stephanie, I've heard wonderful things that you're planning on running for, bigger and better things. And I really hope that you get there. I do. I do. But I'm really telling you that with something like a scandal like this, people aren't going to forget. And not only are they not going to forget, your opposition is going to bring it out. Please go in that room and talk. Please. Mike, start them off.
Not gonna follow me.
Thank you. Is there other comments on the budget?
Okay. How about we take a deep breath to start with? First of all, my name is Dorina McHale, 2112 Shady Side Lane in Garner Valley, Bethel Township. So let's bring it down a little notch, and I fully understand what you said, because I feel the same way, quite frankly. The last two meetings, I've talked extensively about at least my opinion, and from what I heard from the people that were in the room, also objections to converting the Schaefer property to a park. Before I actually get into those, I don't want to go through the same stuff again. I'm not going to do that. But there is one thing I want to follow up on. But before I start, in the spirit of the season, I wish all of you and all of you a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever it is that you celebrate. And I mean that sincerely, whether you agree with me or not, okay? I really do. Now, let's get down to business. So one of the things that I talked about the last two meetings was, do we really need, I'm not going to go through the whole thing again, okay, please understand, but do we really need this park? My answer was no. But a little shortly after that, a little bit shortly after I spoke, someone else from the audience came up and said something to the effect, she was actually trying to make the case of why we should have the park. And in order to make that case, she gave us some examples that said, gee, we really don't need the fireworks, but we like it. We really don't need the corn boil, but we like it. We really don't need Santa Claus, but we like it. We really don't need the egg roll, but we like it. Well, okay, let me put it this way, at least from where I stand, I can do without the fireworks. I can do without the corn boil, whatever else is in it, but please do keep Santa Claus and please do keep the egg roll for the little kids. You know, see, when it comes to little kids, some of you that may know me, I turn into mush. Okay, kids can have pretty much whatever they want. Okay? I have a little grandchild, a year and a half, and he can have whatever he wants. So I guess what I'm saying, we as a culture in all of our departments in the township, we really should be looking at where can we save money? How much is it worth? And again, I'm just using this as an example. The fireworks, how much is it worth? What do we get out of it? Yeah, it's nice, but they're for the fireworks. So the point is, everyone in the township should look at where some cost savings could be gotten. You see, in my previous life, I'm retired now, but in my previous life, I worked for two global corporations. And we were always on the lookout for, is there a better gadget? Can we build a better gadget? And maybe even a lower cost. That was part of our performance judgment that actually dictated our salaries, okay? So I would like to at least interject this in our mentality and for all of the departments in the township, how can we do things better? What can we cut out of this budget that really, you know, maybe may not affect a lot of people? You know, if we're going to say we are a small township, we don't have infinite resources. So we do need to look at where's the best use for certain items, okay? So I would like to invite everyone in the department to look at what else can we cut out of that budget that may not affect everyone, okay? If I could give you just one request, not just for tonight, but for future meetings, which, as I think I told you the last time, this is only my third meeting that I've come to, and I've been in the area for 30 years, in the township for 30 years. So I'm not sure if I'm going to attend other meetings or not, but anytime you're trying to make a decision and you ask for approval or not, could instead of doing a unanimous vote, could you please do an individual roll call? I would like to be clear on who's voting for what. I think it'll be a little bit nicer for us to know that. Okay, not a great big deal, I don't think it is, but if you could do that, I would appreciate it. All right, now let me get to this. Let me see, I think I'll cover that. Let's talk just a little bit more about this Schaefer Preserve. What I found most disturbed, and by the way, let me just say one more thing, and please don't think that I'm going to say this to gain brownie points from you folks, okay? I know you don't get a lot of money for doing this. I fully understand that. But I don't think you're doing this for the money. I think you're doing it for the prestige of serving the community. And for that, I do thank you. Seriously. I know you're putting time into it and you're not getting much money. I understand that. However, there are certain sticking points, though, that we do need to come to a resolution, to a compromise. Now, we can go back to the past. What's been done, it's been done. But let's see what we can do better for the future. And what do I mean by that? So one of the things that I found the most disturbing and what I learned just about at the very end of the last meeting was that the part of the money that has already been spent and part of the money that you're planning to spend, a good bunch of it's also coming from two sources that I don't think should have been used at all, period. So we didn't even know what this ARP was. When somebody else from the audience asked the question at the last meeting. I also did, in addition to what you told us the last meeting, I did some research of my own. Well, that was the American Rescue Plan of 2021 that the federal government, through our federal taxes, gave back to our township. Thank you very much. So the federal government was, what was it supposed to do? It was supposed to be a stimulus, an economic stimulus, and a relief package from what we all endured during the pandemic.
And I don't want to stifle you either, but if you could get that
I will
kind of
try
closed up.
to be as
Thank you.
brief as I can, but I really think this is very important for you folks to understand where I'm coming from. That was money that was paid to the township from our federal taxes. That money went into the general fund. If that money, by the way, there's that, and also certain fees that developers paid to the township, which in my book, I will call that found money. That money should not have been used and should not be planned to use for the park at the Schaefer property. The federal money gave us money to relieve us a little bit. For goodness sake, please, board members, from a township standpoint, give us a little break too, especially after I told you how much our taxes went up. Okay, so see, if all of that money was used to either improve our assets, the township assets, and or perhaps it could even have given us some reduction in our taxes, okay? So the last thing I want to say about the Schaefer property is, so it's a preserve, right? So for goodness sakes, then let's preserve it as a preserve, okay? So that's all I'm going to say about the Schaefer property, but I do have two requests, if you can help me out and give me some information about this. So correct me if I'm wrong. I think at the last meeting, someone brought up the, and I'm not sure if I understood it properly. Someone brought up that apparently some of the folks that may have historical houses and or classified as preserves, that they don't pay the township taxes. Am I correct in that or not?
I think you're correct that someone brought it up. I don't think that's a correct statement. So there are certain programs at the Commonwealth level that someone can put their property in that severely reduce the taxes. I don't know how far down the well you want me to go.
No, really, just basically, I want to know, is it dictated by the state of Pennsylvania, or is it dictated by the township, the Commonwealth? Okay. Okay, I guess I will, at some point I'd like to understand what's the criteria for that? Why do they get a break? I don't know.
Generally, it's over 10, if you're not going over 10 acres.
Okay, thank you for that information. Now, one other thing that I would like the board to,
I'm sorry, is this your last comment? Only because there's people in the queue?
I know.
Okay.
Just to the last thing that I want to ask, and actually, what I want to ask you about now is, it really is not directly, it's not directly affecting the budget per se, but I would like someone from the board to reassure me that someone is going to be looking into this. And it really has to do with the school taxes, which I know you guys don't have it, you folks don't have any input per se, but part of the taxes that we pay are also going to support the Delaware County Community College, and it's been doing that for God knows how many years. From my perspective, I think it's just something that's been grandfathered in, and here it is, blah, blah, blah. In my best guess estimate, okay, if somebody has a better figure, please tell me. But I'm thinking that we gave the year for 2025, about $300,000 to Delaware County Community College. And I just did a calculation just based on what I know of my numbers. So my questions are, and if you cannot answer, please say so, just to say we'll look into it. If we can try to do something about this, because it will still be a relief to our residents.
And that would be directed to the school board.
Sure, and we talked
Okay.
about this before, and I did bring this up with Rob Hayes on the school board, and I don't have a full answer for you right now, but I can continue to work on it.
Okay, I really, really would appreciate that if someone could look into that and perhaps even give us some information so that, or work with the school board to do away with the Delaware County Community College. And as a matter of fact, I do have one suggestion. If we truly want to do if we really want to support education, which I do, by the way, is that for all a matter of disclosure, I was actually part of my professional life. I was actually a teacher at a community college, not Delaware County, but a different one. So I'm very well aware of what education does for our kids and even some of the adults. So my suggestion, perhaps, if the school board would agree to something like this, or somebody has a better suggestion, tell me. My suggestion would be perhaps for the township, to manage that money instead of here, Delaware County, we go, here is $300,000 or whatever their actual number is. You go ahead and manage it. What happens to that money? What happens if only, let's say, $100,000 worth of that is being used by a resident? What happens to the other 200? Does it go back to the school board? Do they keep it? Whatever. My suggestion would be perhaps for us to set up a small scholarship fund managed by Bethel. If we're paying money into it, it should be managed by us.
Thank you.
But it should be based on financial need. Oh, by the way, here are some more signatures.
They may be, I don't know if they're
I think those are.
Miss Vance's copies or not. I don't
No,
know.
no, no, they're
They're not
different.
yours.
Oh,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
They're different.
Okay,
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
listening.
thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joe Thurslick. I live at 1641 Village Avenue. That's in Foxfield. And I'm a 33-year resident of Bethel Township. I'll try to be as concise as possible, picking up from my comments in the last meeting. Just quoting about 6 numbers. Up to 2024, Bethel Township was producing annual surpluses, annual profits. And that is how the surplus in the general fund at the beginning of this year, January 1 of 25, hit 3.852 million. 15 years of steady surplus, steady management, prudent fiscal responsibility. The expenditures I'll go to 2024, was just under 2.4 million. So we ran the township for the year 2024 on 2.4 million. This year in the update period, what I call from, they're using July numbers. I don't know why July to December, but you're showing a updated loss of 600,000 for 2025. And in this amended budget you just did, it was about 160,000 of revision between the previous one and the one you've been talking about. You juiced up revenue 34,000, you cut expenses 134,000. So that's your 160,000. But it's still, you're looking at the forest and not seeing the big picture. You're still budgeting a loss of $1 million. So you're updating this year at 600,000 loss, and next year $1 million loss. So that 3.8 million at the end of 2026 will be 2.2 million. But you set a precedence. You are escalating expenses. You have no inclination to even slow down the rate of growth. So if we're losing $1 million next year with linear revenue, which is our real estate taxes, you're going to probably have $1.5 million loss in 2027. That'll deplete the 2.2 million to about 700,000. Then when you go into 2028, you don't have sufficient retained earnings or surplus to cover the losses for 2028. So at conclusion of the last meeting, I said it would be, well, I didn't use the word irresponsible, but I'll use the word irresponsible now. It'd be irresponsible for the board to adopt a 2026 budget without showing us 2027, 2028, and 2029. Because therein you have to raise taxes. You've shown no inclination to slow down the rate of growth of expenses, have you?
Well,
So you're going to have to increase taxes. Now, if you have a $2 million deficit in 2028, your real estate taxes across all years is 2.2 million. It's a 100% number. So just very simple math, you would have to increase taxes 200%, double, to cover a 2 million loss. And as those embedded expenses continue, 2.5 million loss, 3 million loss, you'll have to increase taxes 250%. So first and foremost, you have a 2007, 2008 budget, so we can see the budget for those out years.
yeah, we do
Because
not.
you're going off a cliff.
What we want to do is start that exercise for strategic planning in 2026 and put together a plan for the future spend.
No, you have a train wreck. There's a-
Well, I will respond to one thing, because at least on what I'm seeing, the adopted expenses for 2025, the adopted budget, the expenses were 3.8 million. And
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that.
and I'm sorry, and the proposed budget has the expenses are 3.44
That
now.
is the most misleading, and I can't believe that you even quoted. I've seen it twice, and I actually brought it here.
Mhm.
But that 3.8 million for original 2025 budget had an inherent loss of 1.2 million. That's like a sinking ship. You're quoting 3.8 million and you're patting yourself on the back because you're going to have a 6.27% reduction from 3.8 million, which has an inherent 1.2 million loss. A better comparison, why don't you look at 2024 expenses? We ran 2024, this township, on 2.4 million. Your budget expenses is 3,450,000. So in 2 years, how we ran the township in 2024, you're increasing expenses by 45%. This is very disingenuous. It's very misleading to compare next year's spending to the budgeted expenses for this year, which has an inherent loss of 1.2 million.
Do you have 2022's expenses? I have it here at 3.2 million.
Oh, I have the history. I can bring you all the receipts.
I mean,
It was also,
I think there's,
it was also 2.3 million in 2.4 million in 2023,
Right.
2.4 million in 2024. The township was well run. Yes, there were things we need. You need enhancements and yes. But you don't go from 2.4 million to 3.5, a 45% increase. So the conclusion is correct. But you dispute the conclusion that if you're losing $1 million next year, and with the trends you've set, with no inclination to slow down rate of growth, with the taxes as is, you're going to be running into $1.5 million deficit in 27, and you won't have any surplus going into mid-year 2028. So you should not vote on a budget. You cannot show the population that 3-year outlook. It's incumbent that you show that outlook. It'd be irresponsible on you to prepare, approve a budget, not knowing you're going to fall off a cliff. That's where you're heading. I requested it last meeting. Do you have a 2027 and 8 budget?
No.
That's irresponsible of you. How are you going to meet the deficits in those years?
You've asked this in years past as well, right?
No, actually, I saw this last year.
Mhm.
I mentioned the rate of growth of expenses. And you've shown no inclination to slow the rate of growth. You're 45% higher than the 2.4 million in 2024. How are you going to fund the expenses beyond 2026? Tax increase. It's the only answer. And that increase could be 100% of what we're paying now, 200% of what we're paying now, which is double. And just keep growing. You should not vote on this budget unless you can show how you're going to balance the budget in those 3 outlook years. Thank you.
Okay.
Trish Seitz, 1670. Trish Zeitz, 1670 Wisteria Way. I have 3 simple questions that just need yes or no answers. Number 1, after all he said, do you care?
Yes.
Do you care? Then how did we get here?
Well, we explained this in prior meetings, but a big jump from 2 years ago to last year was the increase in our police payroll, but also the payroll for some of the township employees at large. We were severely under the threshold for comparative municipalities.
Okay, and what do you do in your household if all of a sudden the money's not there? Do you keep spending?
Well, I don't know the money is there. So if this is, I don't know if this is a direct comparison to that.
Well, how can there be over $1 million deficit if the money is there? That's what I don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're taking it from reserves? Is that why the money is there?
Correct.
And what will happen? Do you care what's going to happen when the reserves are gone? That's my question.
Yes.
So how do we rectify this?
We don't have a 27, 28, 29 plan.
Why?
we did an annual budget as we've done an annual budget every year. So we looked at what our costs were, what was locked in, we economized where we could. And we did 2 rounds of economizing to get to the point where we are today. And one of the challenges that we have is we have an adopted reduction, or an adopted deficit of 1.189 million, and our actual deficit right now is 220,000. So it's hard really to see how it's going to be year on year unless there's some things we just don't know what the costs are going to be or what the revenue is going to be.
All right, then that's my next question. I requested this at the last meeting and it was up on the township.
Mhm.
Why is it the actuals only as of 7/31?
It's the mid-year, and my understanding from accounting, that's a typical practice. I mean, Mr.
Well, then
Barr's
how
correct.
do I know what's being spent August, September, October, November?
That's in the updated board
Yeah,
packet.
it's a starting point for actual numbers. And then what we do is then we take that and then we project that for the rest of the year.
But there's nothing on the website that's telling a person who lives in this township what is going on. Is that correct? How do we know what's
Yeah, the
being
treasurer's
spent?
report gets on the website every meeting. The treasurer report has its current state of
The
finances.
third report with the voting cash balances is in that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's lots of information.
Okay, I'm not in accounting and I'm trying to understand this. And when I see things that I don't understand, that's why I'm asking a question.
Here, I would suggest asking, or emailing, Mr. Addison questions if we could help you.
Okay. All right. And then my next question is, and I am not getting an answer from anybody. Did we pay Nault $35,000? Did we send them a check? Yes or no?
No.
There is no check out there that we paid them 35,000. Where did that come from?
That was a quote they gave us for them to review the plans.
Now, I
We
thought,
approved it, but because they did not review the plans, no money was spent.
so there's no check out there to Nault.
There may be a check from the first time we bought the property, but there's nothing as of recent.
So we have we have nothing going on with Nault now that requires us to pay money.
Until they get a copy of the plans, there should not be any incurred costs
And when is that going to be?
whenever the plans are ready to be sent to them. The engineers are still working on it.
Okay, have we ever paid money to Nault?
I believe there was some
Oh.
expenditure, like I said, when we went through
Okay,
settlements
yeah.
from buying from Dr. Schaefer.
You did say. Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
John Nevy, 3213 Sarm Farm Lane. Um, I looking at where we are with the budget and where the situation is and looking what the board is dealing with, and I think speaking for myself, I'm sure a lot of the community members, there's a lot of sympathy as to what's going on. You know, there have been a lot of expenses in the last couple of years. And you, pardon me, I kind of deal with a little bit about cough, so
Do you need water?
I'm glad I got coughed up, but if that's with your hand, I apologize. We've, there have certainly been unexpected expenses. The ambulance situation, I think last year was the most pressing one I can see, and it certainly was very serious and required pieces. What I think has got this community upset to the degree that they are right now, and myself included, is kind of a twofold piece. One, we're now going into what is going to be the second year of predicted deficits. You know, coming out, you know, we now know at this point, we're looking at $400,000+ deficit for 2025, projecting a $1 million deficit right now for 2026. Presumably that will continue. So we're looking at a situation where we've gone from routine budget surpluses to routine budget deficits. But what we're seeing is the township is Board of Supervisors is continuing a status quo budgetary process as if we were routinely getting budget surpluses.
And we're not getting clear information on why we have shifted from surpluses to losses in the last 2 years. It's not clear. You know, certainly the ambulance situation, it was there. Certainly there was some increased cost that was necessary with that. And I know we incurred some one-time costs in terms of upgrading facilities and things of that sort. But that doesn't explain the deficit that we're seeing. And it sounds like from what I can tell from the numbers, we're looking at 33%, you know, almost a 30% increase, 30+% increase in our overall expenditures per annum over where we've historically been, which is certainly well above what we would expect with just routine
Inflation. or
inflation.
cost
Thank you.
of
I could not think of the word inflation. So the question is, you know, twofold. One, what is causing the increase? Where are these increases coming from? It's not clear. It's not clear in the numbers that we're seeing. It's not clear that we're saying, if we compare 5 years ago to now, here's where the breakdown is. Here's where the big expenses are hitting. You have that as a starting point. There's no clarity as to where these extra expenses are. We're not seeing any clarity, as again, as the prior speaker talked about, as to what are we looking at long-term? What's the long-term plan to deal with this? There's no long-term plan. We're looking at a year-on-year budgetary process. We don't know what 27, 28 are going to look like. We've also not heard any ideas on how we can potentially rein some of these costs in. Again, if we don't know where the expenditures are, and I think one derives from the other. There's no clear explanation as to what the increases have been, is being caused by. As a consequence, we don't know where we should be looking to potentially make some adjustments and cuts and changes in how we're spending. And where they need to be, and make some, potentially some difficult choices. You know, we, as a township, if the expenses are coming out of the police department, do we need to rethink the decision to have a full-time police department? I don't know.
I don't see why not.
But, again, other townships next to us are served by the state police. They're served quite adequately by the state police. You know, if we can't afford it, maybe, is that a question we need? And again, I'm not, and by the way, my brother's a retired Maryland State Trooper. My father was retired from the Baltimore City police officer. I'm as pro cop as you're going to get. But we do need to start, again, without the information, without a clear understanding of where the budget, what is causing the changes in our budget situation, we don't know. It's not clear. So we're not getting that clarity from the board. We're not getting that clarity as to what the expenses are coming from. We're not getting that clarity around what to do. And it's causing the chaos, I think, that you're seeing, a lot of the agita that we're seeing, the concerns that we're seeing as to what's going to happen. I think we all agree. Yeah, we know we have a surplus in the bank. We know we're fine in terms of being able to pay the bills in the next year. But what about 2 years down the line? What about 3 years down the line? Are we looking at tax increases? Again, it's bringing back to the surface some of the discussions, some of the problems that were raised with when we were talking about the police department several years ago with going full time in the first place. Those same questions are now coming back to the fore because we're back in a situation where we have expenses higher than what we are naturally taking in as a township, and no one's hearing a plan on how to deal with it. No one's hearing here's, this is where we are, but here's how we're going to attack it. Here's how we're going to address this moving forward. It's just not clear there. And I think, lots of reasons why it's there, lots of reasons why that's occurred. But I think it's incumbent on this board, particularly moving forward now, to start to be very proactive in saying, here's where we are. Here's what we're looking to do. Here are our plans moving forward, to be able to address what is very clearly now, this is not a one-time situation. This is going to be an ongoing situation that we need to deal with. So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to reduce expenses here. We're going to reduce expenses there. And if that means we need to take a serious look at our biggest expenses, which probably is our police department and some of the other pieces along those lines, we may need to. Clearly, we can't do without, the ambulance and fire services. But there are alternatives for some of the other things that we can do. And I think it's, but it's important that this board be far more clear and far more honest and far more open about the plans, about what you're doing, and come to us not with well, here's a situation and we don't know what to do, but need to have a plan. Here's what we're planning. Here's what we want to do. So that we have it, so we as a community have the ability to say, we like that, we don't like that, to provide our inputs at these meetings. But to have a more thorough discussion of what the path forward looks like to be able to get us out of the situation we're in right now. I think that's where the problem is right now. We don't know. But what we do here is, oh, we want to spend we want to spend 1.2 million on a park. We want to spend more money on this. We want to spend more money on that. Well, we're going to get grants for these things. Well, those grants require 20% matches. Well, where's the 20% match going to come from? Where's this going to come from? We're hearing very conflicting pieces of information. We're hearing very conflicting stories. We're hearing one hand that we're trying to be, to save money and find ways of cost cutting, but we're going to go spend on, frivolities that that are already met, that we don't have to spend on. It's a contradictory message that we as a township are receiving, as we as taxpayers and voters are receiving. And I think that is where the problem is coming in. And I would ask the Board of Supervisors to really take a step back, understand where the mistakes have been made. And I think, and I hope everyone here understands these are honest mistakes. You guys, we all know what's involved in what you're doing, and you're doing this essentially, on borderline volunteer basis. We get that. But understand that there have been mistakes, that there's been a communication gap. Take a step back and correct that. Correct the communication gap, correct the problem, and put together a plan, good or bad, that you can present to everyone and get input and start to shape that plan into something that we can see long-term. Here is where we're going. Here is the end solution. So that we're not coming down the line 3 years from now in 2028. Okay, we got a $2.4 million deficit and we only got $1.3 million in the bank. We're in big trouble. We're going to have to increase taxes by 40%. Because we've seen that. We've seen that with Delaware County in the last 2 years. So that is my request for this board. My hope for this board that you take, that you take, understand where these concerns are coming from. They're legitimate, and they're all of us saying, this is not how we've ever seen this township run, and we're worried about it. We're concerned. I think the fact we have, and I've been at these meetings ongoing for several years now. This is as full as I've ever seen this room. And it's because everyone's worried. And we're worried because we see the situation we're in, but we don't see where we go from here. And it's on you to tell us that. Thank you.
Diane Smith, 1602 Wendy Way. I'll try and keep this brief. Somebody asked me to say this. I want to remind you that, you've been elected by the people and you need to work for the people, and remember that. And, you need to work to people want those taxes they don't want this budget to be so high. So I'm going to ask, just like everyone else, I'm going to ask you to please try to lower this budget. And I know you want to pass it tonight. And, I know that, and I do know that it can be amended later, right? You can change the budget later if they do find in January, right? So legally you could do that. So this is not the end of this conversation, but it would be nice if it were. But once again, we're asking you to please try to lower this budget. There are places where you probably could, if you wanted to sharpen your pencils, you could. For example, and what I'm worried about is in the future, we talk about these overruns and everything. I don't want this township to go into debt, and you guys have to do a bond in 5 years because we've run all we're gone with the money. And, I don't think anyone here wants to have, a debt. And that's where we're heading because we're not being responsible. Now, I'm not the one, I don't know where the costs are. You guys are doing this, and I'm not going to pretend to know where the money's going, but I do really believe that if you wanted to lower the costs and lower the spending, you could. If for example, you're later in the evening, you're going to vote to spend almost $20,000 to do something with the front office. Do we need that? Do we need that now? I don't, what is that? Now I know I'm jumping the gun. You haven't even gotten to it. I'm sorry, but it was an awfully nice example that was right on page 2. And the other thing I wanted to make a comment about was these transfers. It's really hard to read the budget, really hard. If you are overrunning in one category and underrunning in another, leave it. Don't change it because then no one can follow that. For example, you're the same thing. You want to,
you want to, item, it's B, you want to do these renovations to the office and you want to take the money and take it out of, police fund again. You're always blaming the police fund that it's overrunning and it's so expensive, but you keep stealing from them to pay for other things. So I don't think that's fair because the people of this township like having a police department. And we should support them in that, but I don't think you should be taking the money, from one, like I said, if there's an overrun in one line, leave it, so we can figure that out next year. So so something's under, by 9,000 and over by 8 in another category, we can at least see it. And then you guys can, when you go to work on next year's budget, you have that trail of where the costs were. So I'm asking you to please stop transferring money from line item to line item, because it's very hard to follow. Okay, so like internet steps. Okay, now I wanted to go to the NALT thing. Now there's some confusion. Now you're saying that NALT was never sent a check. But for months, we keep asking, what does NALT have to say about this park? What do they have to say? And you're like, well, we haven't heard anything. And you're kind of pretending that they got the check. Apparently they never got the check. Yeah, you're shaking your head. And who else has talked to NALT here besides Giovanna?
I've spoke with NALT.
You have spoken. When was that?
I don't know exactly. It
Was
hasn't
it a
been
month
couple
ago?
No, more than
6
that.
months, a year?
It was giving a status update on the progress of Chester Valley engineers.
Because I think it would be nice, and if we have to pay them for their time, I don't think anyone would be objected to this, but let's bring them in. What are their thoughts? Because we haven't heard anything from them in a year. I wonder, what are their thoughts about this? Because I'll tell you, I was looking through some documents and NALT says approval must be obtained from NALT prior to exercising any reserve rights or undertaking any project on the conservation area that may affect the conservation values or purposes. So, and I asked you guys last month or the month before, what happens if you don't ever hear from NALT? Are you going to go ahead with the plans? And that was an affirmative. You guys were like, yeah, we're going to go ahead. How can that be? And what are the consequences? What if you go ahead and you do bulldoze it? And then NALT comes and says, oh, wait a minute, you shouldn't have done that. Do we get fined? Are the people of this township supposed to pay for that fine? What about that? I don't think we want to fine of something that we could avoid. If you just can we bring NALT in, pay them a fee to show up and hear what they have to say about this park? Because I still can't believe after reading the covenant that what you guys are proposing is remotely allowed. And have they gotten the latest plan? Do you have a receipt? You haven't even sent them the latest
No, 'cause we
plan.
haven't submitted anything to anybody. None of the reviewing agencies have received plan at this point.
Well, aren't they a reviewing agency and why haven't
Have
they
not
been?
received them yet because they're not ready yet.
They're not ready yet. All right, I think the people want to hear from NALT. We're depending on them to protect that land.
I think you had said that would we continue construction without NALT's approval?
We can't. NALT has
I
to
don't think that's the
approve
case.
whatever we do, so.
But you-
Well, last month it sort of felt like,
Yeah, I think
Didn't I? Was
everything's
anybody else here?
misconstrued by design, honestly.
why are we doing permits? Starting the process if we haven't gotten approval from NALT?
All
Wouldn't that,
happening at the same time, all the permits and all the reviews
Oh, come
happen at the
on.
same time. That's how it works.
let's waste more money and we still don't, we still don't know if NALT's going to approve it or not. I can't believe you're spending this money and you don't know where NALT thinks on this. I can't believe it. And I really would like to hear from them. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not drunk. I got a back problem. James McDaniel, 1415 Zebby Road East. I don't know where one topic starts and one finishes, or one finishes and another one starts. I am hearing the same thing that those two women said. And I might be 70 next month, but I'm not senile. I hear the same thing they're saying. The reserve. I like to know if people know when actual big chunks of money were spent. I have a note here from minutes, November 15th, 2022. Authorization toward, what's that, Collins? Collins. To prepare and update the development plan for the Schaefer property not to exceed $157,215. Now, that money was spent and now they're no longer in the picture. So now we're paying Chester Valley another outfit because the other plan is now history. Is that money wasted? Does anybody up here have an accounting degree? You know, there's past supervisors, a couple of them own their own business. And I think that's why the township might have been in better shape. Also, and I expect no comments. It's pretty much cut and dry. The 157,000 was spent, right? That's a yes or no.
57 to who?
Collins.
I don't think it was that high. No. That was
Well,
grant money.
but grant money's still tax money, man.
It's not coming out of our.
The heck it ain't. The heck it ain't. If it wasn't 157,000, you authorized to spend 157,000. Let's get it straight. You authorized to spend that kind of money. Okay, I don't care if it was 90,000, you authorized to spend 157,000. It's more than that. And this is just one thing that I found. There's trees cut down. You know, you paid to have ash trees, some kind of medication, whatever you want to call it. Now we're going to cut them down. I don't understand it. And let's go back even further. Remember the W2A report? I have a note here, and I'm telling you, my head's spinning. How much was this report for them to do? Was it like 35,000 for the study? Somebody wrote a check. Somebody authorized it. I'm saying, I got a note here, it was $35,000. And in that report, while you're spending all this money on parks, you know, when you do parks, you're spending money on labor, mulch, flowers, all that stuff. This is a report, what's wrong with the buildings, okay? This company don't do repairs. They just write what's wrong with the buildings, okay? And I'm not going to read them all. The main building, the faculty is lacking office space, workspace for staff. It says right here, and this is like 022, 023, money was spent for this report, which I don't think anything was done. Secured entrances and separations, toilet room faculties, break rooms, copier space, workspace. Back here, police department says basically the same thing, secured entrances. And these people can come to work, they need a secure place. You people are being looked at, you're wasting taxpayers' money. I don't like standing up here knowing some lunatic might come through that door and be mad he's going to lose his house. You people are causing chaos in this township. The numbers that you're spending could go towards this study that you paid, and I'm going to say off the cuff, it was $35,000. If you don't follow this that you paid for, this money's wasted. But, you know, this line thing here on tonight's minutes or agenda, that's not something new. You were told about that a long time ago. But no, we took money from that and we're spending it on parks. And, you know, what about the walkway, the boardwalk down at Goodley Road? Do we really need that? People cross there all the time. I don't get it. I heard on the radio today, WHYY, Delaware County, 19% interest for 026. I don't know if you need to hire an outside accountant to do your job, since none of you people have a degree for it. I don't have a degree for it either, but I'm not the one spending the money. I'm the one who's got to pay it. And that's worse. But you stand up there. I'm going to miss Mike. He's the only one that made sense, him and Mr. Davy. Maybe because they got degrees. I don't know. I always liked lawyers. I've used them a few times.
You're in a minority, but I appreciate that.
I know. And I say, he didn't run for election. You know, when a ship's going to sink, the best thing to do is jump off, because if you stay on the ship, you're going to be sucked down in with it. But I'm telling you, you people just waste money, period. You're answering questions, you dance around it. It's horrible. Like this line thing here. God, I ran out of ink on this stuff. Park and Recreation Board. And you know, there's so much goes on at these meetings. I don't know when one topic starts and one finishes. You got a Park and Recreation report. CD. Who's that?
It's Mel.
Okay. You got 5 vacancies. What are you doing about that? Everybody resigned. Why is that?
There's 2 vacancies.
Only 2 now? Was 5. Okay. How long are they gonna stay?
Wow.
You ever think maybe some guys in charge, you get your initials on there, they don't like you? That's why people resign? Hey. Remember, these 3 people are spending your money. They're spending your money. That's it for now.
How you doing? Robert Bretzmacher, 1237 Long Meadow Road. I just have a few simple facts here. I've been a resident since 1998. Since then, my county taxes have gone up 2.5 times. My school taxes have gone up 2.5 times. My township taxes have gone up 12 times. Last year, my taxes went up 45%. So I listened to Joe back there, and he's saying it's going to go up again probably if we're going to have a balanced budget. So I just want to bring those facts because I don't really understand all the budgets. But that means our taxes are basically going up 10% a year. So that means our expenses are growing faster than that. So something needs to be done. Thank you.
I just have a question.
Yes.
Okay, nobody else's.
Nope. Donna Vance, 1612 Wendy Way. My first question is, because I'm a contractor and I have to pull permits, if I came to your township, which I do all the time, and I want to put a new 200 amp service into a house electrically, and I have to pull a permit, is it okay for me to already buy the materials and bring them on site and do everything else to that, fix that site before I have the permit, before you say it's okay? Is that all right? Is it all right?
I mean, you can.
I'm asking a question.
I mean, it's a very specific question. You could buy the materials. You're not going to perform the installation.
If you are taking down trees, you're treating trees, you're doing a lot of things. You have applied for permits without NALT's permission. So isn't that the same as me going next door and putting a 200 amp service in, and I didn't ask for the permit yet? And then you come over and say, no, you can't put this service here. It's got to go here. But I've already done it there. So that's what I'm asking you.
Yeah.
Is that okay for me to do that?
I can't speak to that, but I can say, in this instance, NALT is like a permitting agency for us. It's going out to everybody that would require review of the drawings when the time comes. That's how that sequence would work.
So why would you apply for permits before you have the okay to do so? Just like I'm not going to come and do a service next door until you tell me it's okay to put it there. Here's my plans. is this okay to put the service here? And then you say yes, and then you supply me with the permit after I pay for it, and then I go and I do the work. I don't understand why the horse is behind the cart here. I don't
Just
understand
because
that.
you apply for a permit doesn't mean you're gonna be granted the permit. There's always changes that have to be made in between the process. So when you apply for the permit to the state, you apply for the permit to Null, the state will come back with comments and changes you have to make. Null will come back with comments and changes you have to make. You make all the changes and then you resubmit the application again. That's how the process works.
I get that. That's what we do,
Okay.
but that's not what you're
That's
doing.
exactly what we're doing.
No, it isn't.
Okay. well,
And how
you
come you
construe it any way
haven't,
you want.
how come you haven't mentioned the bridge?
What is there to mention?
How much is it?
It's in the budget, it's in the budget that was presented.
285,000, is that correct?
Whatever.
And there is no grant for that, am I correct?
We have a grant for the.
No, you have applied for a grant. Do you have a grant for that bridge?
We have a grant for a portion of the construction.
No, you have a grant for the culvert.
No, we don't have a grant for the culvert.
You didn't even get that grant? Oh, that's pretty bad, since that floods right there.
And it will always flood, even with the grant for the culvert.
And the last question, and then I will be done, is you heard a lot of people in here have said things and still more want to. I asked you at the very beginning of this meeting to go into there and go into an exec session and table this idea until it can be investigated. Is your answer no to that? Because I want that on record, that I asked it and you said no, if that's the case.
Well, two things. I guess one is Schaefer, anything about Schaefer isn't on the agenda for tonight.
I'm talking about the budget.
Right, so,
What is happening?
I thought that too.
I'm talking about the budget, because if you tabled that and that Schaefer Preserve goes away, your budget is almost balanced.
No, it's not. Not even
Oh my God, really?
Really?
all right,
Really?
so I guess to answer, if you're asking me if we're looking to take a recess and then reevaluate, my answer.
No, I'm
to you-
asking you to table it until you have a chance and then come back, say you've tabled it like we did when we were so passionate about what we wanted to do, but the public didn't want it, even though we thought it was a great idea. We gave them what they wanted. You are our voices. And we're asking you to speak for us. And you're saying no, is that correct?
I'm saying I'm not tabling this motion.
So you're saying no. You don't really give any crap about what anybody is saying. Your minds are made up. You're moving forward, and that is a very sick thing, because you know what? Then you never should have been elected. Never.
Yeah, my name is David Winkler. I'm 1062 Bethel Road. My property is all the trees behind here. Okay, are mine behind here. All right. I've been here since 2009. My son went to school here, graduated. Everything was great. When I came here, the police department was a trailer. This building was here, but the township building was not here. And I watched all of it change and all of it grow. Okay? Why are we rebuilding something we already built? Because of poor planning. That's why. Poor planning. And I see nothing but more poor planning going on. And more, just push it through. Nobody's stopping to take time. All these people I hear complaining about stuff have valid points, and you guys don't have good answers. I am against a full-time police department. I looked at the payment structures. Corporal Sergeant, $192,000. Is that one guy or two?
Three guys.
Three guys? It's a lot of money. Do we need full-time police? Has crime risen here since I've been here? I haven't seen crime go up. Why do we need a full-time police department? Why do we need additional expenses? Whose idea was it? Anybody? The union, maybe? The union rep who's going to make all the money? The business agent for the union? Because we don't need it. And we need cutbacks. We don't need push-ups. This is ridiculous. You all should be ashamed of yourselves. Every one of you. Because I don't see anybody in here happy with anything you people have to say. And that's all I have to say.
My name's Ed Miles. I'm 23 Robbins Road. I've been in your seat for 6.5 years. So I can speak on this at a level that probably most folks can't. So the first things I want to do is acknowledge that your situation with the ambulance had to be dealt with. There's no other way. You had no choice. But I also want to say here that we did run those budgets. And we ran them and they were budgeted. When I first got on the board, we had somebody that wanted to spend, had the idea about spending. And ultimately, we had 2 years in a row where taxes went up. The only reason there's 5 supervisors now is because I went out and I argued that 3 supervisors wasn't enough. I personally did that. How many times does anybody make the argument to grow the government where the residents go along with that by 65%? Because what was going on was out of hand. I will tell you that what I hear is that you've got will, you want to spend, but you have no understanding of the fundamentals of what makes the resources of Bethel Township exist. I heard the comment while I was watching online, oh, we're not comparable. We're not paying comparable surrounding towns. It was probably a true statement. I'm not going to argue that. All those surrounding towns have resources. They're physically larger than us. They have industrial bases. They have commercial bases, which pay taxes that don't come out of the resident's butt. We don't have that. Do you have an idea what the percentage is of what we have ratio residential to commercial? Yeah. We're like, you should have known that question. You should have known that answer. Because we're only like 5% of all those supporting businesses that offset taxes. 5%. Why didn't you know that? Why didn't you understand? And why don't you understand that the reason there's only 5% is for all the years that led to you sitting there, the residents through planning commission, through zoning, through the supervisors, said we wanted to be a bedroom community. We wanted to be a residential community. We did not have a need for large commercial or industrial base because why? 5 minutes in any direction, we can be there. 5 minutes. And this push about the full-time police department, I know very personally. I am a retired cop. I served. But as a supervisor, I could not go along with the expenditures that went to handle 5 people full-time. Back then, and let's see, that would have been 2011. Pension alone, year 1 pension, because you know what? I had the foresight to bring an actuarial in to tell us what's it going to cost on year 1 just for pensions. $3.5 million back in 2011. Have you examined what that actuarial cost would look like today? You can get engaged in a consultant. I did. I got the consultant that advised the state. Wasn't that difficult. Took them 3 weeks. I see there and see you sitting in silence.
Well, I
don't even know anything about a full-time police
Yeah,
department, so I'm not sure where this is.
That's
all
what I was
coming
gonna say
from.
too, that there's.
Well,
I
you
think
got some of
there's-
your police officers out there talking about it. So they got to get an idea from somewhere.
Well, it's not coming from me.
And it's not in this budget. Like,
Oh, no, quit hiding behind that.
no, I'm just saying.
No, quit hiding behind it because every bit of the construction that you're talking about, and when you say, oh, we're not talking Schaefer tonight, guess what? Your budget is all about Schaefer. So let's not pretend.
There's $130,000 for Schaefer in the budget, from the general fund.
You guys are holding back. You guys are holding back information. And the reason you feel comfortable with going ahead with permits is because you already made up your minds what you're gonna do, and you're gonna drop the trigger after January 1. I don't believe that you would think that the people here are that stupid. But you're treating us that way. You're treating us this way. And right now you're treating our budget like a high school science project. Oh, it didn't work this time, but let me go back to teacher, get more supplies. Delaware County has ballooned up. I don't know. Did you guys think that that was the model you need to do? Because nobody's happy with the tax rates we're getting right now from the county. Do you all want to grow up? Beginning your term, I heard you talk about wanting to build a new facility over here. The will, the want to do things is not a problem. The failure to understand this budget, this township, its resources, and the effect that you directly as supervisors cause every resident is a problem. I fought against taxes. I fought against those raises. I'm standing here with credentials for this. Your disrespect of what you have here and the disrespect that you are providing the residents of this town is appalling. And yes, I know you don't get paid much. Hey, I didn't get paid much either. And I was in charge of the PD. Do you know how many phone calls I took a day? A bunch. And I know the pressures of the job. It finally got to me to a point where I knew I wasn't acting right at home because I was taking out my frustrations at home. But the will and demand to do something does not alleviate your responsibilities to handle it in a correct manner. To be honest about where you're going with things. That delaying information, for example, Peter, as of November 30, how much is this township in the hole by for the budget?
It was 200,000.
220,000.
Okay. And back in July, you guys didn't see a problem and didn't feel there was any need to try to head that off at all. Nobody took responsibility, said, oh, we're just going to take it from here and we'll just shuffle it through. And, when we get to a point, we'll just raise taxes.
Well, I would say we took a lot of action. We're doing our best to economize. That's why it's not as large as the adopted deficit was.
Wow. That is a chutzpah.
You're asking and I'm telling, right?
Yeah, you know what? And your answer is, this is not as painful as it could have been. Wow.
Yeah.
I'll have to remember not to tell my proctologist to treat me with that attitude. I know you guys are on a runaway train. I know you're going to pull this trigger no matter what. Everybody in this room knows it too. Giovanna, I understand your desires to remake this town. I was there doing the comprehensive plan. I know the disregard that those people had. Well, put sidewalks in everywhere, folks. Y'all didn't have sidewalks before, but they want sidewalks now. And who's going to pay for those sidewalks? Who's going to pay for maintenance? Oh, your insurance when the people slip on them. Now, when the developers built those communities, do you think they could have built sidewalks if people wanted sidewalks? Do you think they would have come to planning commission and said, you know what? We really think it's a good idea. It's a selling point. Put sidewalks in. because we want a walking trail. You know what? We really should do this. If that would have sold, they would have bent over backwards to do it without us asking. Giovanni, you can look away all you want, but you got ownership in this. And you can shrug your shoulders all you want, but you got ownership. Like I said, I was there in the meetings. Steph, you were there too. I heard the comment from the gentleman lead the meeting when I brought out that all those homes along Namath Creek Road from Falk, because we want to have that to be a walking situation there. And I said, those people can't afford it. They're in those homes for a reason. A lot of those are generational homes. His comment was they won't live there forever. There's no curb cut at the intersection for the gas station side. There at Falcon Names Creek. Why? PennDOT said, you got to put a handicap ramp in there. We said, why? Why would we want anybody trying to cross that intersection? Much less somebody that's disabled. These things that have made Bethel Township where it's at are not an accident. People understood what they had and what they asked for.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
I don't know when one stops, one starts, but James McDaniel, 1415 Zebby Road. There's 54 acres available in this township that we all paid for. 54 acres. And it has plenty of,
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
it has plenty of walking trails. You know where Bethel Springs is?
Mhm.
Francis Harvey Green, ground's empty. Bethel Springs School has walking trails. You go all the way to the back, right-hand corner. That property goes all the way to Names Creek Road. The Panalykis properties, my mom and dad own the house, 2 houses up from them, they're gone. It goes all the way up to the Panalykis properties. If you want to say safe, I would say walk that property to the creek. After the creek, if you go too far up, you'll be on these people's backyards. It goes all the way towards Falk Road, the pipeline. And it's there. It's free. People don't even use it. You know who owned that property? Bethel Springs property? Dr. Schaefer. You know why I know where the property lines are? I walked around with pipes with him when he bought it, and I drove pipes in the ground. I know where all that property line is. It's huge. The 54 acres does contain the Bethel Springs School. Now, if you're a doper, a drinker, or a smoker, maybe you better not go on the property and walk. Or if you carry, that's still school property. That's 54 acres. You can run a dog. You can do anything. And it's in Bethel. It's free. So that's another reason we don't need a reserve. That is a reserve. You think the school is going to put houses back there? Very slim to none. They won't even sell. I was told they won't even sell Francis Harvey Green property. And you're awful red-faced for somebody who's supposed to enjoy their job. Done.
Thank you. Okay. Seeing no other comment, I make a motion to adopt, or I'm sorry, there's a motion and a second already in place by Supervisor Hernessian. All those in favor?
Mr. Chairman,
Aye.
Mr.
Oh.
Chairman, I do have a comment. I apologize. I wanted to make sure the public had an opportunity to finish what they were saying here. I echo many of the sentiments that the residents have made tonight. Look, I think that people need to understand, and I think a lot of people do understand, governing is choosing. Governing is prioritizing. Governing is the ability to make hard decisions when hard decisions need to be made. I think that some of the comments that were floated this evening, should this board start looking at hard choices about our expenditures and our budget? I think those are all valid, and I think they all deserve to be looked at. I think it's incumbent upon this board as representatives of the township to make those hard inquiries and ask those hard questions. I don't think it's been done. And it saddens me a little bit that, I got into public service many years ago, but I believe that we are there as the conduits of the people who elect us, and we're there to listen to them, not decide for them what we think is best. I think that with a budget shortfall that we're projecting in this budget, the responsible thing to do would be to take what might be anticipated to be additional expenditures in the near future for the Schaefer property, whether it's from matching grants or maintenance costs or any other potential random expenditures that might come along, and say, you know what, times are tough right now. We don't have the money. Let's put it on the shelf and come back to it later on. That I think is what the responsible thing to do, and what I think this board should do. I understand where we are on the calendar. It's December 9th. We have a legal obligation under the second class township code to pass a budget by the end of the year. I understand we have to adopt a budget. The budget can be amended, as was stated earlier, and I think that this should be an ongoing commitment by this board to continue to look at ways that we can cut expenses and prioritize our budget. But what I would ask right now is for a public commitment from my colleagues to say here and now, given what we're looking at, that we are going to put the Schaefer project on the shelf and come back to it down the line when we plan for it, when we have a tax base that might be able to support it, and we can do it without emptying our coffers. Now, for those of you in the audience that have come here tonight and are watching online and have taken the time, when I say I'm saddened, it's because I don't think that your comments and your participation and your passion, however well placed, is going to amount to anything. I think that the members of the board who desire to have this project have made up their mind a long time ago that this is going to happen. And they are going to vote down the line, not tonight, because as was pointed out, it's not officially on the agenda, but in every subsequent meeting, I believe you're going to see votes to push this through come hell or high water. And I'm sad about that. But I'm asking one last time for my colleagues to say here tonight publicly that we will commit as a board to take Schaefer and put it on the shelf and come back to it at a later date. Do I have that commitment?
Well, before we get into that, I guess if we're talking about being sad, I guess I'm a little sad in your lack of collaboration on the budgeting process.
Well, maybe that was because I was taking off every committee of the township, but right now I'm trying to move this meeting forward.
I'm sorry, did you say you were taking off of emails?
No, I said every committee of the township. I believe all my liaison duties were stripped away from me. So, but where I'm at right now is trying to move this meeting forward. I mean, we've been here an hour and a half plus and gotten through maybe a couple of agenda items, and obviously this is the most important one. But will this board commit to putting this project aside, given the financial issues we're facing? It's a yes or no issue.
I understand. I'll give you the answer now. I'm not looking personally to put it aside, but I will say to you, it disappoints me that if you felt this way, that you you take the opportunity now as opposed to while we were going through the budgeting process. You've gotten the emails. I've actually never had an email response from you, to be honest with you. And the entire time that
Well,
we've been
maybe
boarding.
I prefer to do my communication in public when that's where meetings, communication should be done.
If you believe,
I don't normally, you ask anybody on the board, I don't normally communicate via email, but okay.
all right, so you think the best thing to do is to pull out all the line items in the budget and then go through them back and forth, left and right? Well, then we should have those meetings. When I recommended that meeting, it was told that would be a waste of time. So I'm trying to understand when you and I really want to collaborate on getting these numbers right. And not just you and I, obviously the whole board. But we can have our differing opinions about Schaefer. I get that. But there's that being $130,000 line item on, $3.4 million of expenses is not going to change it from being $1 million projected deficit to net zero. Okay.
It's a problem.
So if there was other opportunities, Supervisor Davey, where you felt like we could economize, I would have appreciated your oversight. But to answer your question directly, I'm not interested in taking it out of the budget.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
So you said no,
that's-
Jim?
Sorry, I'm having
Some people find a position about it.
mic problems all night on and off. I was telling Bill about them, so maybe that has something to do with it.
I'm sorry, Supervisor Davey.
I can't, sorry, I'm having trouble hearing. I see mouths moving, but I can't hear.
Oh,
He's having technology issues.
Uh-oh.
I think we lost him. I thought I heard him say something about logging off, but.
He had texted me earlier, Supervisor Giovanni, which is why I came over here, that there was problems with them, like, when this one was speed. So maybe there's something there.
The light's back on now, yes.
Excuse me.
But, yeah, he might have logged off.
He is gone.
Yeah.
okay.
See if he's trying to do.
Is he trying to get back on?
Actually said I will try to get back on, I'm having connection issues.
That's great.
What would be the?
Yeah, what happens? Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we'll do a 5-minute recess.
Bill, can we just stop this or?
We can stop that.
Why don't you stop? Pause the meeting.
Oh, yeah. Mine dies after 5 minutes. Right. Can you put it in low battery mode? I guess you can turn the brightness down, but then I can't see. What do you think, Mike? What's that? 2 more minutes, you think? At least 12 minutes. Well, we've been trying. I think you need to find out.
No, I think I'll get back to work, so I'm talking about there.
Okay.
Something's not.
All right. Julian, I mean. I'm done. Okay, Oh, I walked there 1,000 times to get you killed. Yeah. Yeah. And they coaches like they have to say like nobody takes a lot bigger. But he said, you know, you be disciplined, you be fast, you play small. But my wife, we have to watch the game and I'm like, it's just, I'm going to bench, I'm gonna miss them as well. I'm losing. I'm not I'm going there. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna miss hours of yours. You can drive me now. Thursday, you're gonna ask. It's not gonna be happening. I guess we did. We're not. On the phone, neither, it makes no sense. What did you take it on the phone instead of on the computer? Is that why? But why wouldn't you have a call when you have a you might have a call, but it's nothing to do with it. You have to do it. But what are normal animals that have? I think it's younger. Up, Oh, we're back in business?
You guys have me now?
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Excuse me, Michael?
Major technical issues, yes.
Can you hear me at the podium? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I can hear you, yes.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you.
Bill, how
Yes.
do we get this restart, same procedure?
Yes, excuse me. You're back on. Okay.
I'm here. Now I am. Hopefully I don't get kicked off again.
Okay, thank you.
Take the meeting out of recess so that when Becca hears this on the minute, she knows when to start.
Yes, we'll take the meeting out of recess. All right, Supervisor Dave, I think you and I were discussing just collaboration on the budget prior to this meeting. I think you had expressed an appetite for the board to remove the Schaefer Preserve allocation out of the budget, that's kind of where we left off.
Well, no, not remove the Schaefer allocation from the budget per se, and that's obviously part of it, but asking for a commitment that we take the entire Schaefer project and put it on the shelf for the near future until we have the financial ability to support such an endeavor.
Okay, even if there's grant avenues, you still feel that that's
Yes,
not something
because
you want.
yes, because the grant avenues are illusory because you get a 50% grant, you still got to come up a match, you still got to come up with 50% of the money, unless some government agency is going to show up and give us 100% of the funds. But even then, you're dealing with ongoing, maintenance costs and upkeep. So yes, I would, even with any potential grant opportunities, I would put the whole entire kit and caboodle on the shelf until some point in the future when it's actually a financially viable project.
Okay. Yeah, and again, I guess speaking just for myself, I'm not committed to doing that at this time. I think that our
I
opportunities.
can't say I'm surprised. That's fine.
Yeah.
I knew that was going to be the answer, but I just want everybody else to hear it.
Yep. Yeah, I have a commitment to trying to get this park and this preserve to the community. Yeah.
Did you look at the signatures? Does that matter to you?
Yes, it does.
Not enough. You're looking at us and go, well, too bad.
I have to say, if you're going to make comment, it's best to come up here. I don't really want to re-engage the comment, but if by all means.
Wendy Ray.
Yes.
You were very proud of the fact that you guys got 314 responses to your survey in 9 months. This township got over 600 in 2 weeks. That's the voice that you need to hear. Please, I'm begging you, and I'm begging for the people that don't want this. Please table it, just for the near future. Please, you have the proof in front of you. I'm going to tell you, when they came in, Mr. Mancini was here that night. When they came in and they said to me and my board that they didn't want this on their taxes, it crushed me, Chuck. Because I think that was the best idea I thought I ever had. But that's what they wanted, and that's what they got, not what I wanted or my board wanted. Please give the people what they want. That's all I'm asking.
I personally agree with Chuck, and I know you all know that. But I think that part of that reason is the false narrative that you all have been presenting online. And the pretenses that you've been presenting online. So that's my opinion.
Please explain.
Sure.
Facts are two different things.
Erica Burnett, 1440 Naaman Street Road. Mr. Davies, I too am disheartened by the fact that I've been to these meetings in the past 2 or 3 years, and you are you have one of the most no-show records of being here. Also, I noticed during the budget meeting last month that you seemed like you were reading the budget for the first time, and it seems like you're reading the change to the budget for the first time tonight. So I'm not really sure what job you're doing outside of these meetings. That the people have elected you to do. Second of all, in 2021, when the Schaefer property was bought, you were a supervisor then who approved the vote. What was your plan for that property?
The plan, at least in my head at the time, was to keep a preserve.
Okay, because in 2022, you approved unanimously to hire Simone Collins as a landscape architect to design plans for the Schaefer Preserve. How does that correspond with what you just said about keeping a preserve? Why would you?
I mean, obviously, I'm a lawyer by profession. I'm not a landscape architect or an engineer. I don't have any concept of what things are or aren't. If, there's no harm in my mind of getting some expert to do an assessment and give us some options. That doesn't mean I'm going to agree with them. But
Okay,
that's
if
what
you were
they
gonna-
do.
I'm sorry, if you were gonna leave the preserve as open space preserve, there would be no reason to hire a landscape architecture firm to design plans to make it into a park or preserve.
Well, not necessarily, because if you're going to have it a preserve that, you know, people can go to, even if it's to bird watch, they're going to have somewhere to park. That doesn't mean you got to put trails and bridges and nature classrooms and, you know, everything else under the sun in there. But there's a difference between exploring one's options and actually voting on it. After
Okay,
looking at everything,
so those options were
I'm
explored.
sorry, I didn't, go ahead.
So those options were explored and you believe that there should be somewhere to park, so that the plan right now has a 16 space parking lot for something that the engineers said at the last meeting was much smaller than they would suggest. So you're okay then with a parking lot so people can go and bird watch? Is that correct?
Possibly. I don't like the parking lot where it's proposed because I think it's an accident waiting to happen. So I would not vote on or not approve or like a plan where the lot is where it is on Bethel Road, because I think that's a dangerous steep slope and sight distance, and I wouldn't do that.
Okay, and then also there were 5 public meetings between April 2023 and November 2025 about the Shaker Preserve plans. Were you aware of those, and at any time during those meetings, did you think that they should be shelved? The plan should be shelved?
At some point along that line, I did come to that conclusion. The more I learned about the plan, the more I realized how much of a money drain this is and was going to be on the township and how much it was going to cost. Yes, my conclusion was that it's not an affordable or feasible project and should be shelved.
Okay, it sounds to me, from what I've read, and I believe that this board has been transparent. The meetings for every, the minutes for every meeting have been on the website for the past 2 years. They have also had video conferencing so that people can watch from home. They've had multiple meetings in addition to the monthly meetings that are required for people to learn about the budget, for people to learn about Shaper, to learn about the tax increase. So when I went to all of those or listened from online, it seems to me that the funding for Shaper Park so far has only cost us $66,000 for the 23 acres or 20 acres that we purchased back that you supported and voted yes to in 2021. And going forward, it is only going to cost us $130,000 to put in a parking lot and some ADA accessible trails so that the entire community can enjoy this space that you purchased as a township, which is pretty minuscule in part of the general budget. So I actually am for the Shaper Preserve because why hold on to this land that not the whole community can enjoy? The update, the fees of maintenance are gonna be no different really than if you just leave it as is. It still needs to be mowed, it still needs to be driven by, there's still going to be trash, possibly more so than if it were a well-used park. I also want to comment that this is the first time hearing that we have a full-time police department because you know why?
We don't have a full-time police department, ma'am.
We do not.
No.
I also want to just say that I am really impressed by people who have lived here for 30, 40 years. I think that's wonderful and I'm so happy we have such a robust community that has loved it here for so long, but it's not the same community it was 40 years ago. It will never be. Things are growing. I think the township did a good job of keeping townhome and big developments out of Bethel. I think they have done a good job of managing commercial space, but with that again comes the downfall that you don't get that tax income. However, I think to say that when I lived here and there was a trailer and this and that is just, it makes no sense. The township has gotten larger, there are more residents, and with that comes more expenses, including police, fire, EMS, the buildings. I'm also wondering, the gentleman, I wanted to thank him for his service, but there was a tax increase in 2011 in Bethel Township. The village went up significantly. So I think that you need to sort of understand that we can still have our community be as it is and have this park for the $130,000 that it's going to cost us, so that many of our residents can enjoy themselves. I would also like to say that going forward, I think this board should really think about doing what most other boards that I've ever visited and been a part of do, which is to minimize the amount of speaking to 3 minutes per person. And that it not even though I did that with just now, but I think that would move these meetings on, and would be more in line with what other meetings are like. So I applaud that, people have lived here a long time. I do think though, that having the park would be a benefit to our community, and I hope the board also considers the benefit of the board when they of the park as they continue their deliveries. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm really going to be brief this time.
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna object, Steve Mancini, Chairman Board of Auditors. She may have something valuable to say.
Talk so that.
Sorry. Hey, Mike Davey, how are you? I thought you said, Mr. Chairman, at the beginning, we're gonna combine it. I thought we were talking about the budget still. And this is a recycle for the third time for someone to speak on I don't know what issue. And the gentleman behind twice. So we're never gonna get out of here with if every time someone raises an issue, then we recycle 3 or 4 more speakers. So that's the nature of my objection.
Understood. I agree.
Yeah, from 21 12 Shady Side Inn, and this is not my third time up here tonight, it's my second time. Excuse me, sir. Now, I will be really quick. The reason I came back up is because just a few minutes ago, I was really offended by Ms. Giovanna's statement that we were putting out some false narrative. Well, talk about false narrative. A few minutes earlier than that, the chair and the vice chair suggested that only $130,000, I believe it was the number that was coming out of the general fund. Well, sure, if you don't look back into the pile of money, the money that we got from the federal government and the money that we got from the fees that the developers paid, of course, it's only going to show the $130,000 from the general fund. But that other money, this whole big pile of money, should have gone into the general fund. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm a little confused by Giovanna's question or comment. I don't know what you're talking about with the set online.
There's all kinds of Facebook stuff going around. It's
I
just not accurate.
understand, but you know,
I go back to the comments I made earlier. The board is not being transparent in terms of saying where the problems are, where the money expenditures are, and how you're going to deal with it. What I'm hearing is, you delay releasing the $1.2 million budget deficit after the election. You are now accusing, instead of addressing the very real issue of the budget deficit and where it came from and how you're going, what are the plans to move it forward? And again, it's not anyone's fault. I don't believe it is. And I think we've all gotten blindsided in the last few years with a lot of unexpected expenses as a township. But I'm not hearing a plan to move it forward. What I'm hearing is there's false information on the internet. You're the board. Clear it up. Please. You have that ability to do so. I know you don't have an answer right now, because you're being challenged on it right now, and I get that. But I do challenge you to come back in January with some more solid plans and more solid information. With a proposal, good or bad, whether everyone here likes it or dislikes it. Here's what our plan is, here's what I intend to do. Not hiding it. Not saying there's false information out there, but while you don't present what you consider to be true. And I that's wrong. It's just plain wrong. And it's an insult to the community that put you here. We're all here passionately. We all love the township. We want the best for it. We also all have our own personal financial situations that we want to deal with. And we don't want to see our taxes raised astronomically for pet projects that, as a township, we don't necessarily need. We are drowning in parks. We have one of the largest parks in Delaware County on our building. So please present some plans. Hear the information out. Please stop just throwing out, non sequiturs about this information on the internet. Please clear that information up as it's said. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay. Please.
1415 East. How much was the bridge you put in? So there is a lot of money being spent, okay? I only hear, and I'm not talking to the crowd of people here. I only hear 3 or 4 people that are actually in favor of it. The rest of the people that really want this must have stayed home, or they don't really care. This gentleman that wants to regulate how long we talk, he's not chained to that chair. He can go and do it anytime he wants. Anybody can. You don't want to hear the meeting? Get out of the chair and walk out. Nobody's keeping you in. These people have chosen to do that. If they don't like sitting there for 4 hours, I don't care if we're here to midnight. You don't want to take the heat? Resign. But you have to look these people's faces that don't want this. You gotta live with that. You gotta live with the faces of these people. These people don't, and I can't talk for them. A lot of people here tonight, they don't want it. And you have to look at their face in the market, the township picnic. They're not in favor of it. Let me tell you, when you get in people's wallets, they're not going to forget it.
Okay. So we have motion on the table. It's been seconded. Get back to my schedule. Excuse me. Yeah. All right. All those in favor of adopting this-
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask for a roll call vote, please.
a roll call in terms of we'll go through all 5?
Yeah, you go through all 5,
Okay.
yes or no. Typically,
Sure.
are you comfortable doing this or you want me to?
Sure. You can just got me there.
Okay, so, why don't I just call the roll this time since it's the first time we're doing it? And
Sure.
Don't handle it going forward. Yeah. Mr. D'Agostino,
Very much opposed.
Ms. Iacona,
I will support.
Ms. Derahanassian,
I will support.
Mr. Davy,
Opposed.
and Mr. Denny.
Support.
Motion passes 3 right away.
Okay. On to the next item. It is a motion to accept the resignation of Deborah Miles from the Board of Auditors.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion from the board? Discussion from the public on that? Please.
I'll be brief. Steve Mancini, Chairman of the Board of Auditors. I was waiting until you announced the resignation of Deb. I just wanted to say thank you for her service for the many years. She's been a big help to our board. In accordance with that, these questions relate to finance. Does the Board of Supervisors intend to appoint an external auditor, as in previous years, to conduct the audit for 2026?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, have you published the notice?
Doesn't have to be published anymore, Steve. They changed the statute last year.
Okay, so that's number one. Number two, we went through this before, and if we had any changes, you've accepted her resignation tonight, which sort of poses a problem for me since we have to do reorg the night after you. You have 30 days to make the appointment, which would be January 8th, which would be after 1/6 for the Board of Auditors. So I would ask you to keep that in mind. And if you don't, then you have an additional 15 days.
15 days with
for the vacancy board. The only reason I bring that up is we had a kerfuffle about a decade ago where the Board of Supervisors missed their deadlines, and we ended up spending more legal funds to go to court about the judge appointing the vacancy.
Understood.
All right?
Thank you.
For your time.
Thank you.
Be voted.
Yeah, I know. Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Mancini. On to taxes. During the month of November, there were 19 invoices collected for 2025 taxes. Total tax collected for November was $13,831.13, remitted to the township in one installment. As of November 30th, 2025, 3,501 tax bills were collected out of 3,577 for a 97.88% collection rate. Mr. Plash, I think you're still there.
Yes, I'll be doing in-person collection hours, the last one, December 22nd, Monday. And then I'll be sending out one final set of notices in order to drive down that collection number down in the normal levels, which always is around 40 collections. But I'll have it this month. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Plash. On to public safety. Supervisor Darreness.
Chief McCarthy?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisors. Good evening, everyone. For the month of November, there were 852 calls for the police department. They are broken down into 61 medical emergencies, 7 assist other police departments, 1 burglary, 19 alarms, 42 traffic stops, and resulting in 31 citations. There were 10 domestic disturbances, 13 crashes, 3 thefts, 1 fraud investigation, 5 other criminal investigations, 597 building and development checks, 3 vacation homes were checked. There was a total of 8 suspicious vehicles and persons, and 2 municipal ordinance violations, and then 49 miscellaneous calls. As the winter weather starts to approach us somewhat rapidly, remember to some winter driving tips. Prepare your vehicle for the winter weather. Check your tires, windshield washer fluid, windshield wipers, etc. Know your route in advance. Make sure you check for road closures, accidents, constructions, and also advise someone if you are planning to travel more than 50 miles during the upcoming holiday season. Pack an emergency kit, blanket, a hat, gloves, boots. Take a snack with you. Make sure you have your cell phone charger and a water. There's something to drink. Slow down. The roads freeze at about 34 degrees, and bridges tend to freeze before at higher temperatures than that. Know what black ice is and also know how to recognize it, and also have an emergency plan. Make preparations along your route if you are traveling more than 50 miles for a place to stay in case the weather starts to deteriorate while you're on your way to your destination. As always, be situationally aware. If you see something that you don't think is right, it probably isn't. Go with that gut feeling. Call 911, report it to us. Let someone from law enforcement or from one of the police agency check it out. Your gut's a powerful thing. Something doesn't look great, probably is.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Chief.
Before,
Sure.
please. Sure.
Yeah.
Ed Deisher, Old Post Circle. At last month's meeting, there was an announcement, I guess something was on the township website, about people putting, notices in mailboxes. An investigation was gonna be opened and they're gonna cooperate with the postal authority. Can you give us an update on this?
As I reported, or as there actually is no update. The postal service, advised me that because the envelopes, most of them had stamps on it, whether they were postmarked or not, that is not something, the postal service's opinion of that is, well, somebody paid for the service and didn't use it, so there's no loss to us. That was pretty much their stance on it. They didn't actually see that it was a crime, if you will. And that was pretty much where the investigation went and stopped.
So the notice that was deemed to be disinformation was delivered correctly and unfounded by investigation.
Yes, I mean, there was no information that was given to us. No one has any information as far as a description of a person or a vehicle that was seen pulling up to the mailboxes or.
No video.
I mean, there was no leads to follow once the postal service basically told us that, you know, they don't, that's not really a crime in their book because someone paid for the service by putting a stamp on the envelope. Right. They were no longer concerned about it. It's not a matter that this police department had jurisdiction over, so. That was the end of the investigation.
So it wasn't the federal case that was made out to be. That's good to hear. We don't have to raise bail money for anybody. I'm glad to hear.
Do you want to do this next item first, and then I have to skip back into your chance?
Yeah, so I would like to make a motion to ratify the employment of Peter J. Yanatelli as a Bethel Township Police Officer at a rate of $28 per hour, subject to a 1-year probationary period.
I'll second. Motion made by Supervisor Derrenessian, seconded by myself. Any discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Steve.
I asked for the motion second for Ms. Miles, for a resignation, but I didn't actually call for the vote, so forgive me for that, but, all those in favor of seconding the resignation for Deborah Miles from the Board of Auditors?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. On to Bethel Hose Company number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief Peacock is not here tonight. I'll read his report. Bethel Township Hose Company number 1, calls for service 41. Year-to-date calls for service 493. Bethel Township calls 15. Fire alarm 6, EMS assist 3, motor vehicle accident 3, wires 1, carbon monoxide 1, brush fire 1, mutual aid 26, and 1 drill. That completes Chief Peacock's report.
Thank you. Supervisor Icona?
The EMS report for the month, there were 46 total calls, 34 ALS, 12 BLS. The emergency management report, no events of major injury or property damage were reported. Our emergency management coordinator attended a meeting at Siloam Church reviewing emergency plans and shelter and attended a team meeting for the Delco Department of Emergency Services. He's also attended training for the new county radio system, which is scheduled to go into service, I believe, tomorrow. And that concludes the emergency management report. I could go into facilities and maintenance. The highway department report for November, crews completed 35 storm drain repairs, service mowers, repaired the fuel system on one of the trucks, touched up the backhoe for the winter, serviced 3 police cars and had 1 repaired under warranty, installed some missing street signs, assembled some storage cabinets for the police department, and checked and cleaned equipment for the winter season. For the buildings and grounds, started repainting and cleaning up the police station, installed those new storage cabinets in the police station and garage, cleaned up the township of leaves, repaired the light in the men's room, cleaned up the playground and leaves at Jack King, and cleaned gutters around the campus. And that concludes the facilities and maintenance reports.
Thank you. On to the board reports for Parks and Recreation. They just held the Snacks with Santa event last Saturday. I think there's a little over 120 different families came to enjoy that event. Now there is just planning for the following year. The next event would be the Easter egg hunt. And as one of the residents mentioned, there are 2 openings. So if there's an interest to be part of the Parks and Rec Board, you can submit your resume to the township office. That concludes the Parks and Rec report. On to zoning hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The board had nothing on the agenda for November and will not be meeting in December. The board will be meeting in January on a variance request for a side yard shed at 3203 Hamilton Lane and is waiting for additional information from the applicant. And that was submitted by Mr. Lanahan, who was here, but maybe he left by now.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes the report.
On to Planning Commission, please.
Planning Commission did not have a meeting because there was not a quorum, so their next meeting will be held on January 7th, 2026. And they also have an opening. Any interested candidates can provide resumes to the township.
Thank you. On to the Sewer Authority.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bethel Township Sewer Authority December meeting. Looks like they working on pump station generators, and they also had the reorganization meeting. Board officers were reappointed and they reappointed their professionals. Anything else, Donna? That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. On to Education, Supervisor Davey.
Thank you.
Oh.
That's correct. We voluntarily signed off, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I can do it.
Oh, please, if you could. Thank you.
So the Garnet Valley School Board update on Tuesday, December 2nd, the Garnet Valley School Board held its swearing-in ceremony for members elected in November. Judge Wendy Roberts administered the oaths of office to 4 members beginning new 4-year terms, and those were Bob Anderson, Rosemary Fiumera, Rob Hayes, and Denise Schiller. The board also held its annual reorganization, and Rob Hayes was unanimously reelected as president, and Rosemary Fiumera was reelected as vice president. A little update on the Pennington project. One of the things that I think a lot of the kids that are interested in are the athletic fields. The turf will be installed this month and they're aiming to have the fields ready for spring use. Many people have asked about the mounds of dirt between the middle school and the Rachel Cole Library. These berms were required by the township to screen the storage building from public view. What's next? The Pennington Building and Field House. Both buildings are enclosed, so interior work can continue through the winter. The Field House completion target is June, July of 2026, and the Pennington Building completion is slated for December 2026. That concludes the school board report.
Thank you. On to the manager's report, Dr. Addison.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Evening, everyone. The township would like to extend a special thank you to our Parks and Recreation Board for hosting this week's Christmas with Santa Lunch. The event saw a wonderful turnout from families across the community, and we're grateful to all the volunteers and residents who helped make this a such warm, festive, and memorable event. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I was reminded I skipped over the library report. I apologize.
Yeah, I need to look at the library report now. Thank you. In December, still coming up, the library will be closed for the holiday on the 24th and 25th, and they'll also close early on the 31st. Let's see. That already passed. There are a lot of adult programs at the library that are offered. There's a Mahjong club, knit and crochet club, several book clubs. There's an Alzheimer's caregiver support group, neurodivergent friendly social group, Tuesday yoga series, and virtual author talks. And there are many other children's programs as well. You can check out all these things on their website, the Rachel Cole Library website, and on their social media. That concludes the library report.
Thank you. Seeing no old business, we'll move on to new business. The first item is replacing our existing ordinance for compensation for the Board of Supervisors. So this is the consideration of ordinance number 245, repealing and reinstating section 68-1 of the Bethel Township Code to establish annual compensation for members of the Board of Supervisors at $2,500 per year. the second class township code. I think the limit's now, the maximum limit's up to $4,000 per year and change. 2,500 was the annual compensation that we had in the past. So this is a replacement of the ordinance to reestablish that. So I'm looking for a motion to accept and adopt ordinance number 245. I'm sorry, I'm making a motion. Right.
Second.
So a motion made by myself and seconded by Supervisor Derhinessian. Is there a discussion from the board on this?
Just one brief comment, and Chairman, I appreciate this. I forget what the meeting was. I brought up the issue that I believe that this ordinance violated Pennsylvania Constitution. Many people stared at me with weird faces. I'm happy that even though I'll probably vote against this, we're doing it the correct legal way and adopting an ordinance. Pennsylvania Constitution bars public officials from voting for their own pay raise. That's why it's staggered over terms. So you can't vote for your own pay raise. So they won't go in effect until board members rotate off. Until
their terms end.
Their terms end, correct. So I do appreciate passing the ordinance and doing it properly. Thank you.
Thanks. And this has been circulated on the website. Is that accurate?
Been on the website and advertised in accordance with the second class township code.
Any discussion from the public on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries. All right, the next three items are all somewhat related. The first item is authorizing Boats Brothers General Contracting to install a public access wall, a door, window, and counter within the township office through the CoStar's Cooperative Purchasing Program at a cost not to exceed $17,079.36, subject to solicitor review. So right now, the situation at the township office is you have to be buzzed in to be able to speak with the individuals that work there. The challenge is once you're in, then you're all the way in the building. There's not really any physical demarcation between where the public is and where the folks that work in the township building can do their business. So similar to a lot of municipal spaces, we're looking to put up a privacy, not a privacy, but a safety wall. That way, if there's any hostile folks that need to come in, that they're not able to get past that checkpoint without further access to go in. This is something we've been talking about probably since the first quarter. We've been getting different quotes and ultimately landed on a contractor and a design that's CoStar's compliant. So that's kind of the summary there for folks that had a chance to look at the packet. I believe there was a layout of what it is. So it'll be a glass door that will be locked and you could get buzzed in. Separately, there will be one of those communication windows you typically see in municipal spaces.
But just per my recommendation, Bill took the layout off of the public packet because I thought it was a security concern if everybody had the design plans for it.
Okay.
Makes sense.
My apologies, but my description still stands. That's generally what it looks like. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to authorize Boats Brothers General Contracting in an amount not to exceed $17,079.36, subject to solicitor review.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Supervisor Derhinessian. Any discussion from the board on this?
Just a comment. Well, trust me, I love our staff and want their full protection. I think this is just something we can't afford right now. That's what I comment.
Okay. Thanks. Any discussion from the public on this? No. Yeah. And my response is I understand there's a cost to it, but I really don't want to have to worry about our staff and their safety.
I think going up there, Dave. This is something township actually was advised of. In this WQA function that before the cost. Like I said earlier, the township paid $35,000 for the study. And it was also suggested with the police department back here. Now they got guns, so maybe that's not important, as important as this. but it does say security issues for that building in there. And there's a whole list of stuff. But like I say, most of the money's still going to the Schaefer Reserve. I guess we'll just have to be happy that you're going to take care of the employees you got. That's all.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries. The second item is similar. It's authorizing Total Security Solutions. It's a discussion about authorizing Total Security Solutions Incorporated to install a foyer and front entrance monitoring system within a township building. This is a security camera for exactly that area. It's a one-time cost. The monitoring of that rolls into our existing camera security services. So with that, I'd make a motion to authorize Total Security Solutions to install that entrance monitoring system in an amount not to exceed $1,329.95, subject to solicitor review.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Supervisor Derhinessian. Discussion from the board on this? From the public?
Tina Picciati, 3246 Goodley Road. Can you curb the Schaefer and use all that money to get all the safety concerns that you are looking for? And then push that to the next year? If you're so concerned about your safety, why is the park going over that? And why is the police money being transferred to the general fund to pay for more of your security when you're saying you have $130,000 already set aside for a park?
Yeah, there was a discussion with the chief about this is a public safety issue that we're trying to rectify, and getting it out of our police budget seemed to be appropriate. Any other public comment? All's in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries. So following along, that's is resolution 2025. This is the transfer that was just mentioned, going from the 410-130 police payroll to 409-300 building and repairs. So I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-36, authorizing a budgetary transfer of $18,409.31 from account 410-130 to account 409-300 to fund the installation of a public access wall, door, window, and countertop within the township office.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion from the board, from the public. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries.
Thanks, Mike.
I would like to make a motion to authorize to advertise the 2026 meetings.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made by Supervisor Derhinessian and seconded by Supervisor Iacono. Discussion from the board, from the public. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I would like to make a motion to approve EvoGov to modernize the township's website framework through a full redesign, prioritizing ADA / WCAG accessibility compliance, while also enhancing system speed, mobile and portable device responsiveness, CMS migration integrations, and redirect implementation in an amount of $4,465, subject to solicitor review.
I will second. Motion made by Supervisor Derhinessian and seconded by myself. Is there discussion from the board on this?
This is,
I could give a little context on
okay.
this too. Yeah, as it's come up, as we're trying to be as transparent as possible, I would assess that our website could have some features improved on it. One of them is definitely to strengthen our ADA compliance. So it is currently ADA compliant, but it needs to be fully formalized. We're realizing that the way that our meetings are put up on the website, the information is not necessarily all together. It's not intuitive how to find the minutes, and the agenda are not together. The recording for the meeting is not there too. So we're working on streamlining all of those things in the archives. We also would like to have a more consistent page layout to make it easier for people to navigate, to find the things that they're looking for. it would be helpful if our staff could be more consistently trained so that all of us can maintain a high standard of the what content is put on the website. And yeah, and some additional updates that we would be looking to do would be to improve the calendar tools to make it easier for people to see when activities are, when meetings are held. Better integration of township social media and potentially the integration of online forms and payments for permit applications and things like that. That's pretty much it.
So I have two questions.
Yes.
You're talking about online payments and everything like that. Is that all included in this total?
No.
So
That
that's
would
going to
be-
be an additional cost.
It is something we're looking at. It's
Okay.
not, it's.
And
if
this
we
is an
don't have money, we
installment.
Can't do it.
This is two installment payments and there's three in total. So we're going to be incurring another $2,200 expense next year.
Correct.
I feel like we've spent a lot of money on the website and we're constantly spending a lot of money on the website. And honestly, it looks like every single website for every other municipality in the township. I do agree there's definitely some issues with the meetings and the calendars that need to be fixed. But I think we need to come up with a comprehensive list of what we want fixed, fix it one time and not do this 2 or 3 more times next year. That's my only request.
Sure.
Because I don't think it really looks all that different every time we do these updates.
Understood.
I actually agree with Giovanna.
Hey, that's a first in a long time, man. Thanks.
I'd assume a lot of what you described was specifically what you expect to be improved, right?
Yes.
So I think that.
I get that,
Okay.
but I think feedback should be solicited from all staff and all board members.
Sure.
Let's come up with that comprehensive list. Let's give them the list of what we want changed and then kind of just do it and be done with it.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure we dumped almost the same amount of money in either earlier this year or the end of last year. And it sounds like we're still having some of the same problems. I could have swore we did ADA updates beginning of the year. So either we need a new website provider if they're not actually doing what we're asking them to do, or we need to rethink how we approach it.
Any other comment from the board? From the public? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries.
You had me halfway.
That's okay. I'll take halfway. All right, I'm up. So this is a motion for some inlet repairs. During the course of their work, the highway department has found 4 inlets which are in need of repair beyond their expertise. So our township engineer reached out to 3 contractors to obtain quotes. And we got, actually the contractor who did our road program this year is willing to do these inlet repairs. So this is a motion to approve the authorization for Incon to replace the inlet tops on 4 township inlets for a total cost of $8,800. And hopefully they'll be able to get it done this year, but if the weather stays this cold, it may carry into next year.
Okay. I will second. Motion made by Supervisor Iacono and seconded by myself. Discussion from the board on this? From the public?
You clarify sewer inlets, I'm assuming?
Storm drains.
Storm drain, okay.
Please. Sorry.
Sorry. Emails to the Belmont community. Could you just expand upon that, Giovanna, as to the amount of repair? Is it the entire replacement? Is it back coating? Is it just the top?
It's just the tops. What they'll do is they'll cut
Grates?
the whole concrete top and the grate. So they'll
The
cut,
riser?
they will put a new riser in there as part of the installation. They'll cut the asphalt 2 to 3 feet all the way around, take the top off, take all the bad concrete out, put a new riser in, put the new top on.
And that includes re-asphalting
Yes.
around the 3 sides.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yep.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And then the last motion I have is the final payment for the signal upgrade project that has been undertaken over the past year. There's a motion to authorize the final payment to Lenai Electric in the amount of $9,500. I think there's a period instead of a comma on the agenda. $9,550.60 for the Bethel Township detection upgrade project.
I will second. Motion made by Supervisor Iacono and seconded by myself. Discussion from the board on this? This is just the final closeout. of that
Final closeout
contract.
of that contract, correct?
Comment from the public? All those in favor?
Question?
Please. Could you, I'm sorry.
She's gonna get on this because I don't have all the list of other locations.
Yes, I think it's in the back.
300 Dale, 21 Phil Shady side, what is the Bethel Township detection upgrade project? Can you describe
So
that?
there were, I think, 4 traffic signal locations that we did some upgrades to improve the timing, so you're not sitting at the light for certain too long. Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. On to
Home
announce-
stretch.
Maybe.
On to announcements.
Bethel Township would like to remind residents that curbside Christmas tree pickup will begin on Monday, January 5th, 2026. Residents are asked to place their trees at the curb on their regular trash collection day. Please make sure trees are free of lights, ornaments, plastic wrap, and tinsel to ensure proper disposal. And the last announcement, the Board of Supervisors will hear a presentation on the proposed Piles Walk development, formerly called Independence Towns, on Thursday, December 11th, 2025 at 6:30 PM in the Township Building.
Thanks. Please.
Steven, CD Belmont Community, just on the last item, the Independence Down, was that the original project on State Road? And I'm assuming that was withdrawn
It wasn't.
under Independence Towns.
Independence Towns was on State Line Road.
Right.
It was denied by the Board of Supervisors and then it was appealed. So this would be a plan that would settle the appeal.
Yeah, just change the name of the development.
It's, is this brand new or is this just a?
No, it's just sort of a continuation of the process, really, Steve, you know. The way the land development process works is if a developer files an appeal, there's great latitude in settling the appeal. And this is a proposal to settle the appeal.
All right, so that presentation and some of the issues that were raised before about.
A lot of the issues that were raised before were resolved because they found that the streams on that property were ephemeral, which means they aren't regular flowing streams. So we had some significant riparian buffer issues that the planning commission was on them to fully engineer, and they hadn't fully engineered, which is really the reason the plan was denied, because it was not moving forward, right? Like there was never a resubmittal of a fully engineered plan. They've determined, and DEP has agreed with them, Department of Environmental Protection has agreed with them that those streams are ephemeral, which took out all of the riparian buffer issues.
I was more concerned about, if you remember the issue, when I talked to the fire marshal about that emergency pathway traversing our property.
Yeah, so there's no way to get, they're providing an easement out toward, not your property, but the one adjacent, but I can't remember. the name.
Winterset Farms?
Winterset Farms. But right now, there's no way to traverse Winterset Farms.
Okay. And that presentation and the opponents and everything will be heard.
So they're making the presentation on Thursday this week.
Okay.
There's not gonna be any board vote on that presentation that night.
And again, is that like starting over again?
No,
This
it's like
evening?
one shot.
Oh, one shot,
Yeah,
but no vote.
no vote until January.
Okay.
And the plan is online, I think, right?
The
Already.
plan's online, and when I advertised the meeting, I didn't advertise it as a voting meeting intentionally. Because there won't be a vote.
I just want to be able to notify our residents.
Yep.
If they want to call.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think the last thing I have here, Supervisor D'Agostino, this might be our last board meeting with you, so I appreciate working with you and, see you around, I guess.
Thank you.
I appreciate it's been a long night. I just want to take 3 minutes. I appreciate it. Appreciate working with everybody. I know we haven't always agreed. But I believe passionate debate is useful. We all try to be professional. It was never personal, just business, one of my favorite lines. And just thank everybody. I try my best to be a voice for my friends, my neighbors, the residents. It's been a fun ride, and I'll see you soon. See ya.
All right, thank you.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I will second. All those in